Call the City Council Budget Workshop to order. Commissioner Smith, if you give us the prayer and the pledge, please, sir.
Let us pray. Our Father God, we come once again, thankful for the opportunity to serve the city. Thank you for the many blessings bestowed upon us. As we come during this budget season, we ask for Heavenly Father that you will allow us to be good stewards of all the resources you provided before us. This we ask in thy Son, Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Mr. Hippler, come on down.
Mayor, Commissioners, before you will present the fiscal year 25 budget for the Information Technology Department. I'll try to keep it brief, keep the acronyms to a low number as well. I know you have a large presentation afterwards, so without further ado, we're going to take off. So to start, we're going to give you an overview. Most of you already know what we do inside IT, but the 9 team member we have, we take care of all technology aspects of the city itself: computational, audio, video, multimedia, voice, video, web applications. Any department that needs service, we address it for them. Public safety, we're all there for everything they need. The department itself facilitates the adaptation and integration of the current and emerging technologies to the daily function of the city. I'm not going to read all of these because I know you have it in front of you, and again, I don't want to kill too much time here for it. But the IT department as a whole maintains any and all applications coming in. Blanche was talking about a new ERP coming in, or looking at a new system for it. That is something that is certainly long overdue due to the existing solution we have. We got put in a situation, it's probably going back 8 years back now, where we are now, and we kind of went backwards in the software we're using, but it's certainly time to be moving forward and getting something that integrates with all of the different software applications. Unfortunately, there were several departments that were left out when that happened for the software that weren't able to use the existing solution we have, so they're using one-off solutions to do what they're trying to do. Fleet maintenance is still using one of the old modules from the existing ERP we had back in 2015, and it causes a lot of heartache for them as well. So we're looking forward to seeing an enterprise solution come in. Having said that, and I know Blanche mentioned that is going to be a fairly large acquisition coming in. That's not a $500,000 piece of software. You're probably looking at $1.5 million, $2 million for the integration aspects of it, so that it's going to meet each department's functionality. So we look forward to assisting with that implementation, get everybody on board, and ensuring that it's going to reduce their overhead paperwork they're having to do, manual paperwork, manual imports into the existing solution we have. GIS, we also have a GIS analyst, our administrator, in the department, who is working on getting some of the updates for the website, interactive for the parks, recreation locations, showing the amenities for it. That'll be forthcoming with the website redo we're doing here, which will be revealed in August for you. So we have the media team that consists of 2 members together. Let me get to the next slide here. For the 9 employees that we have, we service over 587 as of the first of this month. We have a large budget request, and for the entire city, it looks like you're probably going to be bringing another 70 to 80 people if everything goes forward. We're responsible for all the social media accounts, with the exception of the commissioners and the mayor's account itself. Hardware-wise, iPads, cell phones, roughly 300. IP phones, we maintain our own telephone system internally here, our PBX, so we don't have an ongoing operational cost on that. So about 310 IP and a couple of analog phones, fax machines that are still using for CJIS requirements for the PD. Portable radios, mobile radios for police, fire, and we'll get to public service on that, or I'll touch on that. About 575 laptops, 215 software applications, and this is a reserve number. 59 is what we're looking at, different solutions we're using for it. Camera-wise, for the for the police department's Fusus camera solution, there's at least 150 cameras that feed into that forum. That's continuing to grow. Monthly, we try to address additional locations for security aspects of it. Desktop computers, 394. Servers, virtual, physical, 65, 18 respectively. This previous year, some of the accomplishments from the IT department, we're able to, again, install cameras, some higher resolution cameras, much better than the existing prosumer cameras that are in place right now. Some of these are at some key locations that were lacking in really resolution for any type of quality video. Both public safety towers, the lighting has been updated on both of those to meet the FAA requirements on it. The existing tower on Harmon Road before was a painted tower, meaning it was during the day it was a red and white painted tower for it, which it was in certainly need of repair or repainting, or we could have gone with the other option for them, which was the full-time light system on it. So both of those are upgraded. That should take us for the next 5 or 6 years without any issues whatsoever. Police fire radios, they're portables. As you remember, there was a large acquisition in the IT budget last year. All of their radios were replaced. There was about 230 radios for both police and fire. The AV system at the VFW was also replaced. That was one of Radley's requests from last year. The website itself, as I mentioned before, every 2 years we try to update it, looking at the analytics from the website itself. They're able to see who's looking for what data is being searched for the most, and trying to make it easier for the residents to get to it. And of course, with their hard work, they're also getting increased engagements across all of our social media platforms. The YouTube channel is growing in leaps and bounds from all of the meetings that are being streamed to it. So some of the highlight requests that are increased in the lines that we didn't have last year, and a side note on this, the overall budget for the IT department has gone down 19.5%, and that is attributed to the public safety radio acquisition we did last year. So with those radio or that purchase being out, we've seen a dramatic decrease. Most of the funding in our budget is actually for other departments for their software, hardware, or licensing to keep them in business. So part of our technology refresh each year, we do both laptop and desktop replacement computers to keep them within 3 to 5 years, respectively. Another request for another location AV solution. We're looking to do the FCC. There's a couple other locations that may spin off if Radley decides he wants one of the others first, but we're looking to do $100,000 for the AV replacement in one of his existing facilities. Motorola, so with us joining the multi-zone functionality that we did about 1.5 years, 2 years ago, it put us in a position where we need to upgrade our comparators at each of the towers. And the comparators basically look at the radios coming in whenever somebody's transmitting, and it sends them to the closest tower and gives them the best signal for it. In order for us to upgrade to the next level of the software through Motorola, we are going to need to upgrade the comparators to a virtual comparator, and that's at a total of $750,000. You're seeing $375 because we're going to take half of it this year to not take such a big bite at it, and then we'll roll that over at the end of the year. And then next year, the budget request, you'll see another $375,000. This has to be done before the end of fiscal year. Before the end of 2025. They have to be in place for everyone to move forward because we are all now in the same zone, meaning Orange County, Reedy Creek, Orlando. Our radio systems we have to upgrade at the same time with everybody. So those will need to be in place. Firewall upgrades. Our existing firewalls are becoming end of life. Our storage area network switch, those are end of service. So we've had those and kind of kicking the can down the road on those as well. Another thing, and the cybersecurity is really going to be our big highlight for the year coming up, and it's always something we're pushing internally as well as externally. But we're looking to do some additional external network penetration testing, and I'm looking to get a SIEM solution, which is a security information event management solution that basically gives us insight of something going on before it actually happens down the road for it. We don't have staff to monitor certain things 24/7, so some of these may be a managed solution that we may add for it. Initiatives coming up. The replacement of the Fran Carlton, as mentioned. The next-gen firewall upgrades. We've got to keep current with all of that and the licensing for it. The ever-growing threats, of course. There was a little educational meeting we were at this morning and just discussing the threats for the cybersecurity. And so I think the mayor and the city administrator are well aware of the threats that we face every day. It's unseen threats, and they mentioned, and I will echo their sentiment, that the issues we face is not due to lack of hardware or IT ability. It's due to user awareness and the ability for them to be fooled into clicking on something they shouldn't be clicking on. Again, for the switch replacements, UPS replacement at Harmon Public Safety Towers. So there's 2 large UPSs out there that need to be replaced. They're about 30,000 each, and of course there's a pair of backup for each other. Website upgrades, looking at doing a little bit of AI in there, possibly a chat bot. And again, a chat bot AI is only as good as the information you're feeding into it, so it would have to be trained if we're going to go that route. For the penetration tested as pen testing as mentioned. And additional cameras, we have money budgeted for additional surveillance as well for assets for recreation locations. I think the Kitland Park area is going to get some additional camera footage out there, splash pad area, playground areas. Any questions for any of you on any of the information I went over?
Any questions for Rob?
I just have one on the Facebook post boosting. We have about $1,000 allocated for that. I think it would be helpful to increase that because that's across all departments. That's everything. That's everything you guys are posting.
Recreation also budgets for that as well. So
Okay.
they have some as well. So this is in case we needed to pump something out, but it can certainly be boosted if we need to.
I think it would be valuable. I think it's similar to kind of what we were discussing yesterday. There's a program for HOAs that nobody knew about that they could tap into. And I think being able to use social media in conjunction with all the other marketing that we're doing, it really helps to bring all demographics in to know what's available to them. So I just think it may be helpful to give that a little bit of a boost moving forward.
Okay.
That's it for me, though.
Question,
Good.
Smith? Mr. Vasquez?
It's funny, you call everyone commissioner, but you call me Miss Velasquez.
Commissioner.
Yeah, okay. No, I just, anything that improves our IT technology is important, because it is the kind of the brain of the entire city.
Well, like I say, our initiative is truly staying with the cybersecurity portion of it, and trying to stay out of the limelight. Every day, you're hearing of another entity getting taken down or getting ransomware, and I think it was the Florida Department of Health that got hit about a week and a half, 2 weeks back, and so nobody's out of reach of this.
No.
Okay. Commissioner Anderson?
That was too easy.
Super. Thank
Okay.
you.
All right, Dio,
Appreciate it.
take it away.
All right. Dio. I know he's going to be just as short.
Yeah, I'll be the longest here. Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. My name is David Building, Public Service Director. This evening, you will be presented with an overview of the Public Service Department Division budget for the next fiscal year, 24-25, according to our respective funding allocations. Our presentation format will begin with a mission statement, a brief review of the department structures and funding, and an overall budget for 24-25. I will then discuss each division accomplishment and the fiscal year 24-25 budget according to their funding codes. And our mission statement here, as you can see up on the screen, we are responsible to maintain the City of Apopka infrastructures, thereby promoting the health and safety and welfare of the resident by providing full range of service, which include the drinking water and distribution, sewer collection and treatment, reclaimed water, solid waste disposal, stormwater, street and fleet maintenance. In addition, our department is involved in planning, design, permitting, and construction of infrastructure which exceed their useful life, as well as various retrofit projects. Additionally, our staff assists in many roles with other department with technical advisement as well as emergency management. This type of work explained is being performed by a team of very dedicated and hard-working frontline staff, such as maintenance personnel, operator, foremen, secretaries, and a variety of professional staff, effectively managed by a team of very industrious managers and supervisors. Some of them are in the audience and will be assisting with this presentation, answering of any question that you may have. The public service workforce team consists of a total of 144 staff with 25 vacancies. The department is comprised of 8 divisions and is operating with 11 designated fund codes, with revenue coming from 5 funding sources. As you can see from your screen in front of you, those red letters there, 3010, 3111, 3121, those are what you call designated fund codes. And for those fund codes that in red, the Utility Operation Fund 401 is where the funding sources is coming from. And those funds are from potable water, reclaim, and sewer fees. What is the total aggregate of that funding is what fund the maintenance operation of those functions that you see there in red. You see Sanitation Fund 402 is private, is also funded by sanitation solely from sanitation fund, stormwater fund from the utility, street funding from street maintenance, and general fund for fleet well maintenance. That is the 5 distributed funding source. And so with that, I just want to explain that due to the increase in service and material costs, the existing funding generated cannot keep up with the maintenance need. And therefore, it is very challenging to be proactive when the revenue available to us barely keep up with the minimum routine service required. So you will see this theme during the presentation as I go through each of the departments. This is a quick overview of the department with the 8 divisions. And this is the overall public service budget here. You can see that with that, the total budget for fiscal year 23-24, 42,975,403. And you can see in the proposed, it's just 43,219,045, which means that there's a delta increase, it's just less than basically $500,000 there, $250,000. So you can see it is a very austerity budget for the entire well division, and this is because of the funding source that we were given, and we were told this is the revenue we have, and this is the projection and the cut we have to make, and I will go through that for each one of you. In the impact fee fund with the CIP, you can see that number there, and that number for the impact fee is primarily coming from the 403 funds, and I will end with that a few slides explaining that process. So the first division that I will be talking about is the Utility Administration Well Division. So this division is comprised of 8 employees and managed by Vera Kerr, who is the business administrator, office administrator. And currently there are 2 vacancies. The division provides the following: financial analysis and coordination, as you can see for budget overview, administration and customer service, and purchasing and inventory. For time, I will not be reading all of those, but I just want you to see the framework, get a feel for the framework of what that utility well division does. This is the structure of the division, and we have 2 vacancies, which is the deputy director, and we have a clerical well support vacancy. The accomplishment that we have performed during to this time, and this is not accomplished for the year as of today, we have handled 11,000 customer calls, 4,300 work order, 2,200 documents scanned, 96 plus standard operating policies, financial coordination accomplishments, as you can see there. Another accomplishment that we have done, we have created many manuals for several of the division, fleet, street, so that we make things more simple for people when they join the team to understand what is the function of each of these well division, because those stuff was never there, and it takes time to prepare to explain all these facets. So we are spending a lot of time in setting up those processes well in place for the future generation. And the general overview of the utility budget is as follows. You can see that we have the personnel just went up a little bit there, which is basically around $74,000. We have the operation went from 150 went down to 127,682, and the capital outlay we asking for $45,000. So in total, right, the increase for the personnel is 74,000. And what that involved? It involved the regular salary, the wages, the FICA, the retirement. So this is what you call the net increase. Taking everything into consideration, it came up to $75,000. In the operation function, there is a decrease of 15%, which is $22,000. And this decrease is attributed to scanning contracted services. That does not mean that there were not some increases, but they were very minor. For example, you have freight postage charge. We had went up $2,000 there. We have utility service. We went up an increment about 1,000. So there are minor changes up and down that give you a net increase of a decrease of 22,435. Because those increases are so small, I wouldn't want to go to each one until you want me to do that. The capital outlay is the overall increase of 45. And what we are requesting there is an additional vehicle, because I think in terms of we have only one vehicle there, and if staff wanted to go out and they go into a seminar or they go somewhere else, there is no other vehicle. So we had made some contributing saving there so that we can get the capital outlay, so we can have a better and efficient operation run. So in terms of the budget highlight and challenges, we do have, like every department, data inventory management software issues. We had limited staff and office space, software that is integrated with other program difficulties, and as usual, we have to deal with some very abusive external customer because of we have a customer base, and people are, I know some are happy, some are very angry with the service there, but staff is dealing with that as well. So with this, we did ask for one personnel, but because funding is not available, right, that personnel, right, was put forward for the following year if it needs be, and that personnel is for purchasing and inventory department. So with that, I don't know if you have any questions, but the administration section.
Any questions for the admin on the admin department?
I've got a quick question. I see in here you have money allocated for accident restoration. So if I'm reading this correctly, it's for if an employee damages the vehicle in any way, there's a fund set aside to replace any damage that they do, correct?
Can you please repeat that question again?
It's so the line item is accident restoration.
Oh yeah.
So
right,
that's
right. That's correct. Right.
So you don't make the employee pay for that. It's just built into our budget. Accidents happen. We just keep moving.
Right. And I think that information that we add that among there came from our discussion with Fleet.
Okay. No. Just want to confirm what that was. Thank you.
And what did you say, the one additional employee that you would like to have, what would be their duties?
The additional employee was to help us with the procurement and inventory department. We do have one employee there, but the workload is too much, right? And as a result, that one employee would really help us, because we have every day we have delivery service coming in. You have to inventory those, and vice versa. You have to have inflow and outflow. People are signing out stuff. You have to restock these stuff. You have to keep an audit trail of this information. So that would be of a very much help if we have that.
And is that one person included in the budget you're presenting?
No. I think when we went over the budget, basically, it didn't have any cost saving anywhere that we could make that happen.
All right.
Vasquez?
Yeah, what kind of struck me was the 25 vacancies, but is there how many you absolutely need so that your department can function at its best and efficient level?
Well, if you notice from the opening slide, for the optimization, we are asking for the opening slide, we're asking for 7 new employees. Let me see if I get this thing to work. So I back to the opening slide here. Right. You see the opening slide here, we have the proposal here. We have employee existing is 144.
Right.
And then we're asking for 7 new employees.
So 7.
Right. The only right, and from what Commissioner Alexander is asking, because we don't have, because of the allotment of money, the revenue that is coming in, we do not have sufficient to get that one of many more employees. So we had to take that, have to be shipped to the following year. But it will be good if you have that one employee.
So this one is not included in that 7?
No, is that included? So I will go over that as I reach every department. I will tell you what those positions are. I can tell you now what they are: 4 for fleets, right? 2 for sanitation, and 1 for stormwater.
I'm sorry. Can you repeat that?
4 of those employee for fleets,
Okay, for fleet.
right? 2 for sanitation, and 1 for stormwater. And I will explain why we need them as we go over the slides.
So, and sorry to interrupt there too. So that's the 7 that you are requesting that are built into this budget.
That's correct.
So how many? So on utility admin, we have 1 that you need, but we're not funding.
All right.
What's the total in public services that you need that we're not funding?
Well, I can tell you we need very badly, right, 2 employees for streets. Because but again, we didn't have the funding for that. In the stormwater, we only get 1, but we requested, I think, the minimum we had requested is 2, but we had, I think, 3, right, in all we requested. And in the plant, I think, water plant operation, we asked for 1 employee. So all of those we didn't get because of funding.
So it's additional 4, 5, 6.
That's 6, right?
Okay. Thank you.
So the next one, if you don't have any further question, I would like to go to the next department, which is the water plant division. This division is staffed by 6 employees and managed by the water plant chief, Kenneth Krause, under the direct supervision of the water resource operation manager, Glenn Brooks. Currently, there is 1 vacancy. The water plant division is responsible for the treatment and distribution of safe drinking clean water to the city 27 customer, and the division is responsible for maintenance of 5 water treatment plants, maintenance of the 3 irrigation wells, and other water quality inspections. This is the structure of the water plant. You have Glenn Brooks there. He responds for the water plant, the wastewater, the plant operation, and any regulatory compliance. So we are just talking about the water plant operation now. In its accomplishment, as of today, they treat and distribute 2.7 billion gallons of potable water to our customer. They collect and analyze 3,350 samples of more than 700 parameters to ensure work order standards are met. They install a new bleach skid at Sheila Oak, install a pH and chlorine analyzer, and you can see the list goes on and some of the accomplishments. They also play an important part in the review of capital improvement plan that is coming in. For example, the replacement plan for Grossenberger wells to the lower aquifer, the ground storage tank there, also the Northwest well facility, Plymouth Regional asbestos and cement pipe. These are all the project I listed here was provided in a previous discussion as current project that is already bid and we're waiting for contractor selection to start the construction of those. In terms of the budget here, you can see that in personnel, there is a slight increase from fiscal year 23-24. Similarly, in the operation, there has been an increase there, which I will go over with you. And the operation costs, you see that there is $774,424 increase. Now, why is that happening? Because it is because of the following reasons. That the increase include, right, a construction inspection for Grossenberger and Plymouth Regional well deepening. As I said to you earlier, those jobs are going to be in construction shortly. So as a result, we didn't have any construction administrative services because they're specialized jobs that need the expert to be there when you put the well in, and electrical and mechanical company to overview that. So because we didn't have the funding, we just incorporate this funding in there for any change order that may come about. The other one is a risk and resilience study, allocate of 55,000. We have to do that study every 5 year according to us, and this is the accumulation, the beginning of this of the following 5 years. So we had to revise our older study and provide it to the DEP as a part of our compliance with them. We also have a utility service rate increase, and that is 146, 160. And that is for electrical service that we don't have any control of. That's our electrical service increase. We also have an increase for the repair of this of the cleaning of the storage tank by 27,000. It went up. And then we have here sodium hypochlorite, which is $131,470. Those are the major increases that really adds up closer to the 774,000. So it is because of the sodium chloride, it is because of the construction inspection service and the utility fees that result in that additional $774,424. We also have a capital outlay. You can see that there's a decrease, and it's because we had several projects because of funding again that has to be moved to the next fiscal year due to funding limitations. Let me see. On that project, oh wow, what's happened here? 31. Just bear with me. Let me get back to that slide here. I'm going the wrong way here. But yeah, I'm serious. I'll get back to that 3111.
You're flying through these.
No. I gotta get it back to 3111. I can read it over my notes, but I just want to get back to that slide.
You're going the wrong way.
Yeah, let me see now if I get it back here. Oh no. I mean, I can't figure out this thing, huh?
You're going the right way now.
Sorry for this. 3111. All right, here we go. Right, you see the capital outlay there. There's a $762 there. So although we say there's a decrease, for my version, I say there's a decrease of 2,845,000. There is still some funding that I'm requesting there from that. That is $762,000. When you look at fiscal year 23, 24, right, there were more money. There's a decrease in that, and that is because I need that funding for the water plant infrastructure assessment, because we have no assessment of all this water plant. So I wanted to complete a preliminary assessment so I can have a maintenance plan for the next couple of years, right? Rather than every year, I just have to come back to you. I want a plan in place so I can tell you what need to be changed for each one of these and the critical need for them. Also, Mount Plymouth Lakes water treatment plant, we need $200,000 there for rehabilitation of the roof and other incidental of the building. And then we have a replacement of a chlorine and a pH analyzer for $15,000. And we have a generator, $350,000 for replacement of generator. We had to cut that from from $700,000 to $350,000 because again I have to match the funding, right? So we had need at least this will give us I think one generator, right? And we are asking for two. So with that, the budget highlights here is that we have new testing and PFAS rule is coming up, but that is in towards something in the next 10 years. We have to meet certain goals and demand, but I just want you to know that the rules are changing for the drinking water supply. They're not enforcing us now, but in few years. But just keep that in mind that those things are changing. We're also looking at a succession plan for staff. We have staff with a lot of experience who are leaving, so we're trying to get younger people in the workforce, but who we can train and to keep people going on. So it's a challenge to find those staff. And then we have design and construction costs for evaluation and plan and permitting, as well as construction, has skyrocketing. As you can see, these costs is here that I'm explaining to you. It's no control of us. It's a cost of the market, cost of everything else. So it seemed to us so expensive, but that's the way of doing the business right now. So with that, I don't know if you have any question for me on
Any questions on the
the water
plan?
plan.
I do have a couple.
Okay.
So we're delaying and pushing out about $3 million worth of CapEx that we need right now. Do you expect that to be cheaper next year?
Oh, I don't have that crystal ball, but I can tell you, looking at a recent paper article I saw, I don't see how anything would be cheaper next year. It just keep rising.
So I have to agree with you on that as well. My concern is we keep delaying this, it costs me more next year, and we're going to be in the same position, just worse next year.
Yeah, and the only reason being is Blanche can tell you this. She's very concerned because she shows me the revenue versus the needs. So we had to go back and spend a lot of time within a week to balance that. Right. So we had to, because that's the challenge. Where would you find the revenue to get all of those things done?
Yeah. And the current budget that he has is actually in a deficit of about $5.6 million. Last year, we used $9 million in reserves, hoping that this rate increase would compensate for that. We reflected a 10% rate increase as well. It would take a 40% rate increase to even cover the $5.6 million deficit.
So we should have been increasing rates a decade ago.
I think they were increasing rates. Whether they were increasing them at the appropriate level, I can't say. I wasn't here. But in order to even cover the deficit that we currently have, it would take a 40% rate increase.
Yeah, what I can tell you, Commissioner, what I learned just being here, and because of the mayor, because he's always creative and want us to find better way and look at everything else. I've tried to study the operation in such a way. What is happening? What's the need? What the existing thing I need to do now rather than build a skyscraper and it doesn't work, right? What do I need to fix in the meters? And what I found is that there were a lot of piecemeal operation done in the past. I discussed that with the mayor and everybody. This piecemeal operation create a lot of constraint and constriction in places, right? That it's hard to go back and fix these things without costly retrofits. Right, and these things were maybe poor. I don't know if it's poor foresight of the past, right? But to going forward and I promised the mayor under my tenureship here, that I'm going to try to do piecemeal and to develop plans of what I'm doing and give him a proper explanation of why these things are needed, regardless of the cost. So I think, to answer your question, rate is one of the stuff, but it was not a holistic planning operation. So you're reactive all the time to do things. So reactive means you fix a problem here, but not looking at the overall picture for sustainability. And it's very difficult when you have these in infrastructures, right? These infrastructure, water, sewer, they're very health and safety hazard. So now it coming when the needs are more, and there's nothing that I could do about it but to bring this topic to you, to each one of you, and to explain what the situation is.
No, absolutely, and I don't think this isn't a singular department issue. I think it's again that should have been handled a decade ago to get it set up correctly here, which is why I want to make sure starting today we get this ready for 10 years from now. We're set up correctly. So.
We have new developments coming down the pipeline. Can you tell me
That's not this. That'll be in the 403. That'll be the 403.
what's 403?
Right, but I
I
don't know.
still want to.
Yeah, but what's your question?
The question was, and I'm sorry, the question was, with new developments coming down the pipeline, new units, can we sustain that new development with what we have right now?
Well, I can tell you this is what I think, and the mayor is saying we'll discuss that in 403. But if you look, and I can just give you a brief synopsis here from the preliminary stuff that I have evaluated. If you look at the water plant itself, right, in the development, right, we have a permit that tells us we have 16 million gallons of day for the permit. We at this present time putting out 10 million gallons, close to 10 million. So if you look at the prediction there, we have up to 2035, right? You know, volume that with the development it can take place. But as soon as we reach 5 to 6 years before 2035, we better need to plan, right? Because you can't put a water plant in 2035. With respect to the wastewater plant, which I will go over with you in that question. Right now, we have two plants there. We have the east plant and we have the west plant. The east plant was placed in there in 2018. And that plant is in compliance with the rules back now and in future. That plant is doing great. It's having a nitrogen content of 3, right, total nitrogen. The west plant, though, since that plant came into the operation, and the west plant has a capacity of 3 million gallons. The question there is the west plant was never used because to really put that west plant into conformance, you have to spend between, I think the cost that came to me, 20 to 30 million dollars. So the capacity of the east plant is good enough for us now to handle the development. But I have discussed this with the mayor that we need to plan now, and you will see I have some money there to plan ahead for an expansion of a water treatment plant to give us another 5 million gallon well capacity, right, for the future. But we need to do it now because this capacity we have with the growth that we have in here right now, the prediction was that we would have gone to 2035, right? It seemed to me we're getting closer to 2030, right? So we need to plan now to put that in place. Now, these are all projections, right? So if development slow down, things can slow down. But these are now the thoughts. So what I'm explaining to you, Commissioner, I have look into all of these, and I've been having a discussion with the mayor and the staff about this, and I'm bringing it to you now. We do have time, but we need. That's why in my budget right now, you see I have money, like $500,000 to begin this process of evaluation of doing these things. So hope that answered your question.
Well, I think the question was, are we able to take that on? So you're saying, infrastructure-wise, yes, for
next
now, but also at the same time,
we have to plan.
But we don't have enough funds right now to take care of what we do need. We're at a $3 million deficit for what we do need right now. Excuse me, 5.6 million.
Right
We
there.
need right now.
Right.
The infrastructure is assessed.
Right. This is the infrastructure. This is, you talk about maintenance infrastructure. Here you're talking about a water plant, like the question was asked of me. And if we have capacity in the wastewater plant, right? We do have capacity right now, but the prediction is for a new plant in 2035, right? We need to plan now for both that and also to look at the water section, right? To look at the new water plant, right? So those things we need to plan. Those are big infrastructure. The need that you are speaking about, Commission Vanessa, is those operational stuff like generators, right? Like things like that I need to change out. So I'm pushing them back. So those are the needs that you see some major stuff here that I'm not attending to it now because I do not have enough or sufficient fund to replace 2 generators. I have only for 1. So I have to push back to this. But I have many generators, right? So those are the stuff that I am pushing back. Is a maintenance need. There may be some constriction that I can't fix now. People are complaining about pressure, everything, and I know that there's a system there that has to be fixed, and those are $1 million. But I have to prioritize. If I can work and manage the modeling, right, and push them back a year or two, and that's what infrastructure dollars that I'm speaking about. But
Well, let me ask you this too, and this is for Mr. Sherman as well. If we fix all aged or aging infrastructure, do the CapEx projects we need now, does the income that we have match our expenses? If we cover all CapEx issues, all aging infrastructure, are we still running at a deficit in the current position?
The original deficit that was presented was about 16 million. So we're down, there's about 16.8 million. So we're down to the 5.6. And again, the revenue that we're generating with a 10% increase does not cover that. So it would take a 40% increase on the water and reclaim or wastewater. One of them is 15% to cover that deficit.
It's just for the operations side.
Just for that covers his entire budget. That whatever he has for
Sure.
operation and capital.
So there's some CapEx built into that too.
Yeah, in the budget that you have before you, it would take a 40% increase to cover that $5.6 million deficit in the rates. But we currently have a 10% increase reflected. We are still working with the rate consultants. We plan to meet with them later this week, but to basically build the plan that they want and the capital that they have presented, that 40% increase would have to go out.
And we already already implement a staired approach to fees?
I think it was a study done back in 2022, but that study is being updated because the study did not factor everything. It did not include, funding for the capital. It included grant funding that is discretionary. That's not guaranteed. So the study had to be redone.
Wow.
And that's what they're working on.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions before we go to wastewater?
okay, so the next one is the wastewater plant. Well, this division is staffed by 16 employees and managed by the wastewater plant operator, well, Nathaniel, under the direct supervisor of Glenn Brooks. The water plant is responsible for the treatment of the wastewater and the distribution of the reused water to 3 reclaimed water facilities. The distribution of reclaimed for irrigation throughout the city. They also manage and facilitate a regulatory program for industrial pretreatment, fat oil, and grades, and they're also responsible for the water conservation. This is the framework of the structure of the organization. We discussed the water plant, now is a wastewater plant operation we're talking about. Here we have done for this, we have treated 1.2 billion gallons of wastewater for 19,271 customers. We distribute 3.3 billion gallons of reused water for irrigation. We had a sludge haulage for 703, and the list goes on here on some of the accomplishments that they have done today. In terms of the budget, we have here on the personnel that it compared to 22-23, there's a slight increase there, and that increase attributed to 60,663 net increase. In terms of the operation, there is also an increase there, which is roughly 524,924. And then in terms of the capital outlay, there's a funding total of 1,655,000. So what I will do, I will go over in the operation, since that is a big number of 524,924, what created that increase. That increase is attributed to basically a professional a service of $200,000 for a water balance modeling. As I explained to you earlier from the question that was asked, there are constrictions within the reclaim system, right? We don't know where they are because the field condition and the model condition are not agreeing. So I want to find it. I want to come back here so I have to have some field investigation being done. Right, and as a result, that $200 are going to cover the field investigation. It is an ARV, what size of pipe it may wrong in the current model that was done, so I can figure out how I can manage that program better. In terms of the line item 4600, there we need to install a new roof on the maintenance workshop and storage shed, where all the spare part of the water and wastewater plants are, and that current roof have leaks. It can damage these equipment in parts, so I need $100,000 allocated for that. They also included in that increase is dumpster service charge and electric fees. That is on, I can control that is $151,000. And then the sodium hypochlorite, that's also a fee that is increased as well by 95,491. So you find that these increases are from the service, electrical, and material. There is nothing that I'm asking here that is over the ordinary in terms of the budget increase there. In terms of the capital outlay, there is an increase there of I think it's show up there as 1,088,000. And this increase is attributed to a wastewater treatment plant loading study, which we have to do as a part of DEP, and project management for the construction of the Northwest Reclaimed Storage Pond, and also for some construction management work at the lower reservoir retrofit. We have at the lower pond here, you will see that in my 403 slide, that we have a screen that has to be constructed there, and also at the Northwest Reclaimed Storage Pond. I will explain that there are 3 ponds there, as you can see. One have a fountain, right? And then we have one at the extremely end, which is the little JD pond, they call it, right? What happened with the little JD pond is that JD pond is taking reused water, but there is no way that we could use that water for distribution because we don't have a system in place, right? So there you need a pump station and you need a distribution system to put it to the reservoir, which we have there. That system is on the bid right now. It is on the bid. The bid will be closing shortly, if not yet. So once that project is started to construct, it is funded to be constructed once we select the contractor. This increase of the funding that we are asking there is for the construction management part of it. Right, it's about $250,000 there for construction administration that was never covered there. And we also have in that increase for the $1 million there is a master plan. We have to update our master plan for the water and wastewater. That will be costing $400,000. We also have F-150 truck to be replaced. That is $35,000. And then we have a slot trailer, $120,000. And then we have a sodium hypochlorite storage tank that needs well replacement. That is $65,000. We also have a land purchase for lift station 77, which is a broad shot there. We're expanding that capacity. The lift station is under design, but we need to expand the parcel, and the mayor is working to see how we can get that acquired, right? And we predict it will be $200,000 to acquire the property. The property is in a slope, but we need that property to expand that lift station there. So that is what create that increase of $1 million. The budget highlight that we have here is, you can see here, there's also staffing issue we have with the wastewater and water, because it is that we cannot find very skilled operators. So we just wanted to put it out there, because a lot of people who is applying for these jobs want high salary rate, higher than what we are paying our own staff. So it is going to create a salary inequity. They're very qualified, so it is a struggle for us. Right, that's why sometimes we're struggling filling the vacancy, because they will be asking for $5,000-6,000 more than the existing seasonal employee that we have. Right, but we need this employee. They're skilled operators, but because of the inequities, right, we have to struggle how we make that balance. Storage capacity, as we said here, during the drought period, I know Commissioner Nestor, you asked me. Or I think you requested to find out what is happening to Ultimate Spring, everything else. And you see what happened in the drought period. The demand, right, is drought. The demand, if they were to supply us X number of water, right, is not there. So in the drought, we suffer these kind of situation. And in the off-season, when we have heavy rainfall, right, we're then having a storage problem, but we don't have a distribution to get it out. So those are the stuff that is existing problem that you cannot solve overnight. you know, it takes time, but what I'm explaining to you here, I'm addressing that piecemeal by doing a water balance, by doing certain things. I will try to come up with a better solution, but I'm taking incrementally because you have to evaluate these things. Explain it is a model. It's not something you can just say, I want to put in this pipe and this is going to happen, right? You have to make sure it works scientifically. So that's the reason why you see these small increases here and there to do a plan. So I'm spending a lot of time here explaining this so everyone understand what is the nature of the business here. And it's a complex business here is when you are running this type of operation. People want quick answer, but answer doesn't accept it is scientific based and it's really stand to a modern concept. You know, I don't want to make the mistake of the past of doing things in piecemeal and not look at sustainability. So I want to spend some time explaining what is the rationale of why I'm taking this painstaking stuff to go through this with you. So with that, I don't know if you have any question on this topic on the wastewater plant operation.
Any questions on the wastewater? And I apologize, haven't brought the public up on anything. If you want to come up, anybody wants to speak on IT and or any of the things up through wastewater.
Right before you get up there, Mr. McKimmey, the station 70 or lift station 77, where's that land that you guys are looking at to purchase?
It's a Bradshaw. The location
Right next to the current 77 on Bradshaw.
and there's an existing lift station there right now.
Just have to make it bigger.
It just need to be expanded.
Understood. Thank you.
And let me ask, in reference to new hires. So are we advertising that we have these positions available? And when they come in to apply, you're saying they're asking for salaries that are greater than what we're willing to pay.
Let's say, for example, somebody from Ultimate Spring is coming in, very skilled operators. Mm-hmm. We have a minimum, they may want the mid-range of the salary. The mid-range may be $5,000 more than the highest paid people that we have in the plant. So bring them in already, we create at this, right? And then when the workers then found out that we're hiring somebody higher pay salary than them, it created disunity in the operation. So it's a struggle for us, what do we do here? And that's what I meant. We have operators are applying, but the salary they're asking for is $5,000 to $10,000 more than the existing staff that we have there with 5 or 6 years experience. And that's our struggle. How do we make that determination? And not create a disunity within the workforce as well.
Commissioner Vasquez?
No, I don't have anything right now.
All right.
Okay. Commissioner Anderson?
I don't have anything right now.
Okay.
Albert McKinney, 3603 Golden Gem Road. I come here before you tonight as a resident, a husband, a father, a businessman, and a self-professed expert on the negligence that's occurred at Golden Gem Road. I take issue tonight at the fiction that you're being told and that the mayor and the public services are telling us. Look at the board. It said Golden Gem Road was a natural sinkhole. That's certainly not what the DEP say. It's certainly not what Brian Nelson had in his report from Devo. Brian Nelson was given a report on the 4th of March from Devo. That report specifically says that the problems at Golden Gem Road was caused by water runoff. It wasn't natural. Your department sent a letter to the DEP on the 30th of January. It claimed that the incident in Golden Gem Road was because of a defective manufacturer's liner. I have 400 pages here, contracts, photographs of everything. You have the audacity to lie to me tonight, to lie in front of all these people. Detail your salary. This is not acceptable. Not only is it a state issue now, it's a federal issue. Because the aquifer that you contaminate are allowed to be contaminated with asphalt, sewage pipes, and all sorts of other contaminants runs through not only the state, but into adjacent states. It's now a federal issue. You told us that there was no hazard to our drinking water. You knew this was not true. There was sediment, there was sand, and all sorts of things went there. You allow us tonight to be told a bunch of lies. In reality, I've got nothing to say. I could go on for 4 hours and tell you a whole lot about the infrastructure and how this infrastructure probably needs about $50 million over the next year. But I don't intend to do it. You guys, I can find this in public records. You need to do your homework. Sir, I admire you. I'll be bringing this to you tomorrow for you to make up your mind.
Rogers Beck at 7 West Main Street. My question is really regarding to lead piping. I believe it might have been a year or two ago that we received, if I recall, about $2.1 million to replace the lead piping that was in the city. I just wanted to know if that had been done or not.
We're in the stages of doing phase one of the asbestos. We don't have any lead pipes
No,
that I
we
know
don't.
of. No lead
Not we
pipes
don't.
in the city. We've got some
What do you call
not
it?
galvanized pipe that we need to
Right,
replace.
then we-
I think we've got
Asbestos.
Asbestos, you got
Asbestos, we know about the
asbestos
asbestos. We have 10.3 mile of asbestos, and we have started the work on Martin Street already with a plan of action to do that.
Yeah.
I just want to address one thing to the commissioner here, and maybe if I'm out of line, you can explain to me. You hire me to be the engineers, you hire me to run the operation. I am not an internet person. I don't go to the internet, right? I don't listen to internet. I'm a practical engineer. I've been in service for 35 years and more, and I'm also a teacher in that aspect. I work felt in consultant and contracted. But you have to decipher statements from facts. And there's a lot of statesmen on the internet. There are a lot of people who goes on internet, right, who fail. AI is teaching them everything you can learn about it. Science is a different story, right? On the Golden Gem stuff, you have a report that I sent to each one of you. That report strictly said it came from a professional engineer who signed and sealed it. And the engineer is saying that there was no contamination in that well. You have a lot of internet people talking to you. Can they sign and seal a document with a professional engineer stuff and say this is what they're saying? Then you believe them. But these are the kind of stuff that I have to deal with when it comes to the administrator, and notes coming from the commissioner that we have to try to respond. And it takes me a lot of time to do it, right? Because I look at these things and I keep repeating, copy and paste, and then we have to answer these questions over and over. I understand that we have to respond to the public, but sometimes we have to step back and think, is this an opinion or is it a fact? And if it's a fact, ask the question, can they sign and seal that document? Because as a professional engineer, I have a PE, I have an ethics, I have to go to class and do this, and I'm honored. The same thing that we hire these professional people who comes here. Devo is a PhD, he's a renowned scientist, right? He's a renowned incentive for in many places. But yet people are character assassinated finding without having any basic judgment. Going to the water management district and going to every place and complain, you have those people are government employees just like us, right? They get a question, the boss wants an answer, they're calling us. We're providing answers to them. They're not asking us to do anything, right? They themselves understand what is happening. So I just wanted to implore you that we need to get this information, but we need also to use some very creative judgment, because the internet, the alternative facts is out there, and it's hard to get down to the alternative facts. So with that, I hope if I deviate and transgress anyway that you forgive me for that, but as an engineer, I do have judgment as well.
Okay, Rod, you want to come up on?
Well, and before you get up there, just a comment on that briefly is that we were all elected to work for the people, all in the same capacity. So whether we agree or disagree, the requests need to be made and be filled. So hopefully you understand that as well.
No, I know. But what I'm saying, repeating over and over the same claims, right? When we provide to you scientific evidence, it's public record, and keep wanting to distort that, right? We don't know what else we can do. Right, we provide to you evidentiary facts, sign and seal. People monitor these wells. They said this is happening. What else you want? What else we can do? There is nothing else that I can tell you that I can do to provide to you to give you better answers. That's what I mean. But we need to listen to the public. I'm not saying no, but I'm just saying to you, I don't know how to address further question on this.
Rod Olson, 3156 Rolling Hills Lane, Apopka. First is for Mr. Hibbler. Everything you presented in the budget's going to meet the needs of what we have now, as well as our continued growth in personnel, supplies, and materials. Yes, all right, thank you. Deal, with all due respect, you got a lot on the table, man. But concern, when I hear funding limitations, are you asking for what you need? Well, no, I really need more personnel. I need this. We're going to push it down the road. Is the problem that we are dealing with right now. I do not want to pay a nickel more in millage, but we are getting, I'll try to use a decent word, crap in many areas because we aren't getting on the offensive. We need to anticipate problems, get in front of them instead of constantly reacting. When you hear funding limitations, it spells to me that deal, any department head, we can't go more than this. So it's a predetermined millage rate. It's probably already been set that we're going to be playing with, and it's not fair. We need to know what people need, the number of people they need, the supplies they need, and the materials. We also need to look at the aspect of what makes sense for us. $60,000 for a truck, $60,000 for a trailer to haul things. Are we better off contracting it outside where they've got the material equipment used every day instead of something sitting in the back lot that's used quarterly? Thank you.
All right. Anybody else? Okay. Plant maintenance.
So next is plant maintenance well division. The quick overview here: the plant maintenance well division service 3 reclaimed water treatment facilities and 1 water treatment plant. The division is staffed by 8 maintenance field employees and managed by a wastewater plant chief operator, Nathaniel, and are in the process of hiring a plant maintenance supervisor. Currently, there are 2 vacancies. This is the organization chart again that they keep repeating, but it shows you where the plant maintenance operation is. The program accomplishment, as you can see, is listed here. The replacement of the cleaner and the rotary drum thickener and all a new bleach skid at Sheila Oak, and you can read it on the slides there. You can see the accomplishment. In terms of the budget overview, we have on the personnel, there's a slight increase from 2023, and that increase is $35,669, and that increase is due primarily to normal business employee and payroll expenses. We also have, from the operation point of view, there is a $26,000 net increase, right? $26,987, and this is attributed to increase for pump motor, gear, drive, electrical instrumentation. As I said, the net increase, there are certain things that went up, certain went down, but the net increase is 26. And also we have the capital outlay, which is 532 that we're asking for there. And that basically amount for some upgrade of the SCADA, what you call the RTU, which is remote transmitter units. We also have a flow meter to purchase. We have a bleach tank to replace the water at the Rosenbacher water treatment plant. And then we are asking for a F550 utility bed truck to replace the existing 2005 F450 crane truck that is showing extensive wear and tear, is 20-year-old. So that is what contributes to that delta increase there. Any question that you?
Just one question and kind of guide me through if we haven't gotten to that department. Your backflows, which department actually?
We're coming up to.
What happened?
We're coming up to the next department.
You're coming up to the next one? Okay.
All right. So the next department is 3141 is the water maintenance well division. And that division is staffed by 21 employees and managed by utility maintenance manager George Garcia. Currently there are 6 vacancies. So that well division manage the maintenance of water distribution system within the city of Apopka, along with the program such as backflow prevention, cross connection, water meter, utility maintenance division has done the following. They maintain over 420 miles of water mains, 183 miles of reuse main, 2,270 of fire hydrant, 5,589 water valves, and 36,912 water service well connection. They also have utility location restoration, and they manage the cross connection, backflow preventer, water meter, fire hydrant, and valve maintenance. They also perform valve maintenance, new service installation, directional drilling, and the work goes on there. In terms of the organization chart, you can see that George is under the water maintenance and also the wastewater maintenance. And this is what you call the distribution system. So in terms of the accomplishment, what was done for the water maintenance, they serviced and complete more than 13,990 work order. And you can see the list there, what they have accomplished. They also complete 13,694 utility locates. And they also are coordinated with the design consultant on the following ongoing project, Villa and Lovely Lane, and phase 2 of the asbestos water main well replacement. And those are studied. As you can see there, Commissioner, there's a total of 9,540 backflow tests and conversion that was done thus far. And you can see from the table, it shows you what has been done since when I was here from 2021, and this program become to light, right? And it's all is because we had not submitted a report in the past, right? These report, when the backflow program came into consideration, and the division was supposed to submit the report, how much you have done, and the advisement of the public and those situations. It was not fully done, so we are now in compliance since 2021 in all the stages in terms of that order. And so with that, we have finished 9,540 tests and conversion thus far. Now, in terms of the budget, we have on the personnel, there is an increase of $100,000 there, and it's due to the increase in normal business and payroll expense again. So in terms of the personnel, they are accommodated for FICA and all those salary information. In terms of the operation, there is a $596,000 increase in the operation. And this increase is attributed to railroad for right-of-way and utility pipes. They are 3,000, they are line 44. They have additional restoration repair on fire hydrant maintenance, 172. Now, on this program, I will go back here to show you here on this program. These are the fire hydrant. Now they have to be painted in a different colors to identify the amount of gallon per minute. This program, in terms of the flow test, was handled by the fire department, and now it is turned over to public service. Right. So we have to conduct now flow tests. Public service usually maintain the fire hydrant, but the flow test was done by the fire department. Right. And maintenance means we just go back, check them, clean out, paint something. But now with the flow test, we have to get the information, meter, read them, and submit the report to be in compliance with the ISO service requirement. So this program is new to us, and that's why you find out 172, because we will be using Hydromax with their contractor to perform that service for us.
Can I just,
Yeah, go
before
ahead.
you go forward, you're saying this is a new program that we have to implement?
No, well, it's a new program for public service. It was something that, because it was handled, the flow testing, right, was done by fire department, but their resources, they don't have the resources with everything else that they're dealing with, right? And to be truthful, that testing belongs to public service, right? It's more of a public service. So this is the first year that we have to perform the test and meet the ISO, right? So they turn it over to us, which I think the right place it belongs, because we are doing the maintenance of those fire hydrants as well.
So do you have someone that is
We have a contractor that I think is called Hydromax, that we are going to use some of those money to start the testing, right, George?
I'm sorry, I have to go back. How many fire hydrants are we talking about?
What we have
I know
to.
you wrote, you kind of said it.
27, right?
I'm, s- how many? Did some, oh, here it is, 2,274 fire hydrants. Is each,
Yeah,
all of them have to be tested for that flow?
is that right, George?
Yes,
All right.
for the flow testing, there's going to be a percentage, but for the maintenance, yes, we got to touch it once a year.
I'm sorry, George, can you come up and just, thank you.
For the flow testing, as we're going to do it a percentage because that needs to be done every 5 years. But for the maintenance, yes, you got to touch it once a year to ensure that it's functional. But the flow testing will be done in a percentage. I don't know the exact number or how many we're going to do the first year and then the following year. But we're going to make sure that we do all of them within 5 years. And
So you have 5 years in which to do,
they're in a 5 year cycle. So every 5 year you got to flow test every single hydrant too.
so do you have a maintenance log right now for them?
We do have a schedule that we do the maintenance. With the flow testing, that's all going to be taken care of by the contractor. So they're going to be submitting reports and with a GIS map that shows exactly which ones they have flow tested and the results of those tests.
So as we put new fire hydrants out, you're going to be using this new program? Or
Well,
you're
the
gonna
new
continue?
the new fire hydrants, those are tested by the construction company, so they are required to submit their flow test to us. So we have those initial flow tests, but going forward, we are required to perform those
So who
tests.
supplies the fire hydrants?
New construction is the builder, whoever.
Oh, they're
is.
the ones that,
Yes.
okay. Only because I've noticed some new fire hydrants like a silver color. Am I correct in saying that?
All our main barrels are supposed to be red. Now I can't even
Yeah.
think, but red. But the bonnet on top, it's going to change based on the flow, the gallons per minute that it actually flows out. So that's the different colors that you see there, which will be blue, green, orange, and red.
Okay. Thank you very much.
problem.
Any other questions?
I've seen some green ones already.
Yeah. You have, I saw some silver ones. That's why I was asking. Okay.
I just have a question. You have a line item in here, and I think it was removed, but I can't tell. There temporary labor for the cross connection, meter replacement, data entry. Is that still part of the budget, or was that taken out?
I think it was removed. I
Do you
think it's
need
still-
that though?
Yeah, we don't have that anymore. Right, George?
No.
That would just be as needed, though, correct?
As we get more people depending on the administration work that we're doing.
Did we have any temporary labor for that last year?
No, the previous year, when we first kicked off the program, we did.
Okay.
And those were the people who, when we started the program, to make calls, respond to rights, and then afterward they were there for about 6 months or something, right? Because we were getting a flood of calls after the program was implemented.
Sure, of course. That may be valuable to just bring back, just so that's not taking staff's time. But
Right.
just a thought. Thank you.
Is there any other questions?
Any other questions? All right. Sewer maintenance.
Right, the sewer maintenance, this division is staffed by 17 employees and managed by the utility. Again, George. It shows here what is the function of the infrastructure he's responsible for. 167 lift station, 115 miles of force main, 643 force main valve, 194 miles of gravity main, 190 ARV, 1,956 reclaim manholes, and so on. He also responsible for the odor control and bypass of inspection, and his division can perform TV inspection and sewer distribution system to mitigate sanitation overflow. So this gives you a perspective overview of what his department does. In terms of his accomplishment, you can see on the listed here, they complete 7,200 feet of gravity main lining. They have replaced 4 control panel that has electrical corrosion. They also play a big part in the coordination of the design with Lift Station 77, which is continuing Lift Station 17, and Lift Station 17 Force Main, which is on the design right now. In terms of the lift station 165 lift station, this whole category here that was shown shows you the time that we visit these stations. So it's a matrix there, shows you on one aspect the inspection type of service. On the horizontal column, it had master well lift station, large, small, and it tells you how many times they went there as of now. So it gives you the operational that we are touching these lift stations or visiting them as regularly as we can, given the time that we have to do this with the limited staff that we have. But we are making sure that we are keeping on top of all the maintenance needs for these lift stations. In terms of the budget here, basically there is an increase in the personnel cost of 117,126, and again that is for the payroll increases as well as the normal FICA and everything else. In terms of the operation cost, there is a net increase there of 1,225,923. So it's $1.2 million, and this increase is as a result of the following. The mainly is due to Duke Energy cost, which is $65,893, and you can see that in line 43. The rental and lease cost for the railroad crossing, right, is $65,065. Repair and maintenance costs in line 46. So we have this lift station renewal and replacement program accounted for $750,000. Those renewal program and of this lift station, it means that there are many components, and George can explain to you, from electrical to mechanical to all those services that we have to go ahead and replace. So this $750,000 for those contracting as well as our staff. So that is $750,000. We also have 110 of that for sewer and gravity main repair, and 150,000 for pump and motor well maintenance. Those are all in there as a part of the 46,000 line. So an increase of $62,000 for lift station, chemical and sediment control, and the remaining $22,000 for operations, well, supplies, tool, uniform, safety shoe, and that's what gives you the aggregate total for that increase of $1.2 million. So it's mostly operational charge and fees. In terms of the capital outlay, you can see that there's a decrease there. So although there's a large decrease, right? And this, if you go back, you see from the number there's 1,623 compared to 1.6 million. So there's a decrease there of basically 47. But we still having 1.6 million. And what is that for the capital outlay? There for $100,000 for sanitary sewer lines, $250 for renewal and a replacement of all the pipelines, $100,000 for miscellaneous rehabilitation, $162,000 for 47 horsepower lift station replacement. So these are all maintenance entity stuff that we have to perform that contribute to this, right? But they're, as you can see from the inventory, they're not on the lift station, they're mains, they're trucks, addition have their generators. All these are components that is listed there that comes up to that 1.6. Now, due to budgetary constraint, right, we have this master lift station 17 reconstruction. We are going to have those plan and everything else ready by this year, but because the projected cost is around $3.6 million, we have to put aside that is the lift station by Frank Carlton. You know, that's lift station. We had all intention to probably put it out for bid at the end of this year. Unfortunately, or early next year. But again, it's $3.6 million estimated cost as of now. and that has been pushed aside. And there's a logical reason why we did that, push aside that. There also a force main that goes from that lift station that runs 2 miles all the way to Cleveland. That force main, if you all recall, we had situation that happened in Pumpkin Road with failures. The belief is that if you put in the new lift station, because that is a cast iron main too, it's been in the ground for what, 1999 to 72. So basically, we're concerned that if you don't replace that first, and we just put the lift station in and connect, we have exactly what happened in Pumpkin Road. So what we're doing, we're designing that lift station, and we put that as a priority once the design is done to be constructed first. So there was a logical reason why we shift the lift station back, right? There's a funding, but also there's a reason why I think a 1 year would not hurt us too much in that aspect. So that is one of our budgetary constraint cut that we have made here. So here is some budget highlights here that, with some rehab stuff that we have done. Not to bore you, but you can see it on the line. That's what we have done for some lift station and electrical component, the overflow. That is where some of this outlay money will be used for future of these lift stations. So with that, I don't know if you have any question for me.
Any questions on the sewer maintenance division? Okay. Anybody from the public wish to speak on this one?
Albert McKinney, 3603 Golden Gem Road. We obviously need some radical solutions to bring critical roof infrastructure up to and above minimal standards. If we were to sell off our 40% interest in Lake Apopka natural gas, we could upgrade our public utilities, then sell them off, privatize them, with a stipulation that the increase in cost to residents is mapped to the increase in cost of living. This would not only reduce the demand on our reserves, this will also reduce our liability to staff and manage utilities, for which it appears we lack the expertise in operating them.
All right. Next up, design engineering.
All right, the last one department that I'm going to discuss with the utility funds, because these are all utility funds, right? So it's the design engineer department. This division is comprised of 12 employees, and the work activity is being handled by the directors and Richard Arp, city engineer. Currently, they achieve vacancy. We had those vacancy, the utility manager, 2 senior engineers. So this is a very big operation that it takes a lot of our time, principally my time, in managing all this infrastructure. So they're involved with planning, designing capital improvement, construction management, GIS and asset, community engineer development, which is primarily handled by Richard, all those aspects, permitting, planning, and special project. He's handling completely that part of the operation. So it's structured like this. We have myself, city engineer, you have the planning and design section. We now are doing something for transportation, GIS and asset, and the utility construction. So anything that is being done construction-wise, our staff as well supervise those construction. Now, in terms of the accomplishment, we did a lot of work over this past year. We did a turnaround at Sterling Road. We did the CRA sidewalk phase 1 construction. CRA phase 2 is coming up. Alonzo Park. We did the Vic Road wastewater system, the force main upgrade, and the emergency repair. We also have the purple water system extension at Camp Weaver. That system is about 90% done. It is not delayed. It just pushed back because of activity there. We have the wastewater system extension at Camp Weaver, which is coming up to be started shortly. We have a replacement of the asbestos cement portable at Martin Street phase 1. We're just waiting for the contractor to get on board. We have a 1.5 million gallon ground storage tank at Grossenberg, right? We already select a contractor. We're just waiting for the signed contract and to start that program. We also have a replacement well 1 and well number 8 at Grossenberg to be done. We already have a contractor on board. We're just waiting for a schedule. Northwest Recreation Center, the one I discussed about that distributing system is on bid right now. And the Northwest Water Treatment plant, which is a 1 million ground storage water tank that is added, and that one is, I think a contractor is selected, is under review. Mount Clement Regional Water Treatment Plant, well number 3, the replacement, right? We already have that. I think we have a contract on board for this as well. It's under review. And we are doing some stormwater rehabilitation at south of Highland Avenue and East 8th. You can see the construction is it's finished. Is that we are piping in a ditch there on that area there for future, I think, housing or parking lot or something that they had planned there. And we have a set of accomplishments from the GIS and asset management. If you notice from the planning section of things, these are the projects that we are working on right now. As you can see there, reclaim lower water storage pond, Cleveland Borough Pit, Villa Lane, Golden Gem repumping station. We still have to do that. Phase 2 of the asbestos water main replacement program, lift station 77, 17, and 17. Force Main, and the list continue there as project that we have on board that we are working on. You can see a special project there is Border Lake. We had good intention. We applied for some grant, but that study, I think, when I get to the stormwater part, I will discuss it. We had to push that back because of funding as well. And we also have the fleet building design, which is something that the constraint of our fleet people are suffering. We had the design. We just have a little bit of funding to do the phase 2 of the design, but we have no funding to start the construction. But I will discuss that when we get to the fleet portion of the presentation. So in terms of the budget overview, there is not much of an increase here. On terms of the personal cost, there is a decrease. And the reason being there is a decrease because we have this vacancy of people who were there and they were making high salaries, so they are no longer there. So if you look at those vacancies, you'll be hiring people at entry level. So as a result, there is a cost reduction. And that was the reason why that is there. In terms of the operation cost, there is a 7% kind of increase there. And that is basically just because of some vehicle maintenance, and that we went up from 3,000 to 7,200. We also have a training line there that was increased because we do have GIS tech. We have CRS program like the community rating system. We have to go for a training on that as well. So these are some incidental stuff that just created a slight increase there. And there is no capital outlay.
So, let me just ask you one question. So the transportation special projects, did that include our former employee who just who retired or resigned?
Right. The component of that part, I think we are assisting right now because the component of the former employee, there's an engineering component of that. And the way that was managed is that consultants were hired to review a set of document, and another consultant was hired to review what another consultant had done. And then another consultant was hired to go ahead and to tell him, I'm writing this. That's nothing wrong with that system, right? The question is the engineer component of a road or any infrastructure should really touch its public work because we're the one who have to finally maintain that. That's it. So we want to know it is designed, it is constructed, it is built properly because we have to maintain it. And as you know, building a structure is one thing. Maintenance is where the cost is. It goes a long way. So yes, some of these programs is currently handled by Richard. We are just trying to get our hand wrapped around it right now because of the other workload that we have. So we are not really, I would say, proficient yet in understanding what is all the variables there, but we are trying to work through the process for now to assist, to get things to move along. So it is an evolving process.
Okay, so my concern is we had that pioneering agreement, and that was all infrastructure. Who will be taking that over to oversee it?
That's a challenge for us. We do have a meeting coming up, right? Because we are reviewing that document. It's a very complex document for us to understand, and Richard can tell you that. We're having series of calls from the various consultants, but until we understand the document, right, and we are going to have a meeting with the various people who are working, we're not coming back to the board to explain to you something if we don't understand it. So we are working on that right now, and it is we promised the administrator, and I think he's involved to help us out in this of convening a meeting with us and planning, right? So we all put our head together to understand the whole, parts of this puzzle. So we should get some answer. Well, Richard, you want to say something on it? I don't know.
Yeah, no. Yeah, because when we voted on that pioneer agreement, there was a large sum of money that was in a pot.
Yeah.
Is that on a separate line item? Are we keeping tabs with that?
We've set up an escrow account for all of the developer contributions that we received thus far. As I understand the agreement, we should have the total of the 15 million by August 1st. And we're also working with the building department to determine the amount of impact fees that have been paid that is associated with that agreement. And once we get that information and verify that they have been paid, we will move those funds into the escrow account as well.
Okay. So someone is managing that
That
pioneer.
part of it. But
Okay.
they're referring to different aspects of the agreement.
If there's any changes in that pioneering agreement, will that come at least to the council to notify us?
I think most likely it would. It should.
Okay.
That escrow account, we've already opened it.
Yes.
What bank is that with?
Synovus.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions on design engineering?
Yes. You indicated that the decrease in personnel was due to the fact that someone left, but you said you had 2 vacancies. So
We have 3 vacancies.
3 vacancies.
Yeah, 2 senior engineer and 1 utility manager.
So they're not included in this budget?
Yeah, they're not their vacancy. They're existing vacancy. So the reason they're included in the budget, but why there's a reduction, those, say for example, those staff was making above mid-range when they left. So right now, if you're going to hire people, you can be like below the mid-range. So you have a saving there.
Oh, okay. All right.
And we budget vacant positions at the mid.
Right.
At the mid range.
At the mid-range.
Yes.
So they're making higher salary when they left. So as a result, we have some saving there.
Makes sense.
All right.
One more question. You have special projects for the design engineering division. I see Clear Lake is still listed on there. What are we doing with Clear Lake?
Okay, Richard, you may have to come and explain that one because Richard has more understanding. I think we are ahead of schedule here, but I will let Richard explain.
I appreciate it.
So on Clear Lake, we have a consultant engaged, the Balmoral Group, actually the I think he's president or vice president of the firm, and he's leading this unusual project for us to design a pump station that the homeowners association would be happy with, that we are in the process of doing right now, and we don't have a plan to come back to you with, but we are working on a future presentation with the homeowners association and or city council.
Was there a dollar amount assigned to that project, that design?
I don't have the number on top of my head. It was less than $50,000, but I don't know the exact number.
Okay. Again, if something comes up for Clear Lake, would you bring that to our attention?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions on design? Mr. McKinney, you want to come down and pick design?
Albert McKibby, 3603 Golden Gem Road. The Mayor just answered the question in the affirmative with regards to the pioneering agreement on Golden Gem Road. I distinctly remember that when the pioneering agreement was agreed with, the city hired an attorney called Jacob Schumer. And at that time, we were specifically told that Golden Gem Road was not part of the pioneering agreement. Pam came here 2 weeks ago and said there were changes and that Golden Gem Road would now be upgraded, and the funds for $13 million, I believe it was, were going to come from the pioneering agreement. How can that be so if the Commission had to ratify the pioneering agreement? There was no further ratification to changes or amendments, and our mayor just told us it had to be ratified by the Commission.
Robert?
Rod Olson, 3156 Rolling Hills Lane. I'm stepping up at this point because I'm afraid as this goes along, some of these individuals may leave. And from a personal experience, and I tend to rattle more cages than many people do, I'm always treated with dignity and respect. When your people come to the door, they let you know what they're doing, why they're doing it, and they offer to explain how they're testing it. And it's awesome. And you guys do an incredible job. I have more engagement with water and with solid waste and with fleet maintenance than anyone else, but you guys are just incredible.
Thank you. Roger?
Rogers back at 7 West Main Street. Well, thanks for clarifying my question that I had earlier about the lead. So if I understand correctly, the money was set aside for asbestos piping? Is that what that was?
I'm sorry, say it again.
The $2.1 million, was it a set aside for the asbestos piping? Because I know that they just indicated that asbestos piping that was on Martin.
Yes.
So that's
it's a grant. We've got a grant. And so we're starting from Martin, and it was a 3-phase project.
Okay. So I guess this is my pushback on this, because I know I haven't been to a meeting in like a year and a half, right? And I believe I was here when it's initially had been discussed. So what's really the time frame on, or what's the accountability of when these things are actually being done? Because it seems like it's been in the design phase or whatever for like a year and a half to 2 years now. So what mechanism that you use to keep track on moving these projects forward? I know we came out of COVID. I know it was a big issue, but at what point in time do you say these things need to get done? Because it seems like they're kind of compounding at this point. There's money set in the budget, I guess $2.1 million, but if it hasn't been allocated, hasn't been used, it just seems like it's just something that's there, but it's nothing being done. So I guess I'm sitting here wondering, I know these things may go on the capital improvement plan, I'm not sure. But if that is the case, someone that's sitting on the outside, I'm not here every day and I don't want to be here every day, but how can I track it, right? That way I don't have to come and ask you that question. I know there was times that they put in the repaving of the roads, right? A report that was going to itemize what roads going to be done. But there again, where do you go to get these documentations other than calling the city clerk? I think that should be something that's accessible online that somebody can read the report. Hey, this is the time frame that it's going to be scheduled to be done. If it's going to be new roads improved. I just think at some point in time, we've got to be more accountable, not from just this side, but you guys tracking these projects through, because they got a lot on their hands. They're understaffed. So at some point in time, but where does the ball lie, right? So we've got commissions that's been in seats for a while now. It's something that you guys have to also monitor. It's good to come here at budget time and talk about this stuff, but if it's going to come next year and you're talking about the same thing, what's the point, right? I'm thankful that we have a workshop that we can voice these concerns, but at some point in time, we have to have some visibility on what exactly is taking place. So we don't get up here and gripe and complain about it, because we know, hey, well, this is scheduled for 23, 25, whatever case may be, but there should be something that someone can go and look and say, hey, this hasn't been done, and then ask the question why, and then you kind of get a good feedback. Well, we didn't have X, Y, Z, but I think there should be some type of mechanism accountable online that somebody can search these questions or issues and just follow it. And then to give some firm dates. Everything is always seem like it's in design phase. How long does it take to design? That's just realistic. That's just my pushback. But at some point in time, we got to get this thing going, because the city's is on growing. We got 1,500 people coming to Orange County every day or every month, some craziness like that. And they're coming to Apopka. You guys did a realtor review or whatever 2 weeks ago, but they're coming, but we're constantly behind. Now I said yesterday was 8.1 million. They say 5 million today. So I guess by next week it's like 30 million went home. So it's just, to me, it's kind of worrisome that we've gotten to this point. But at some point in time, we got to say, hey, what are we going to do to move forward? Thank you.
All right.
So, Mayor, that's a very good question, but I just wanted for the board to understand. When you embark on a complex design, it takes 18 months from the design start phase. So when the way that we are proposing this, we come up here and ask for design funding first. We do not ask for construction funding because you have to have geotechnical work, survey, underground utility. You have to get a permit from various water management district. From my experience working for Orange County, it used to be 18 months for the design, prepare plan, the permits and everything. Once that is ready, we have an estimated cost for construction, right? It is estimated cost for construction. Then we have to go back and budget and prioritize that cost, right? But the gentleman who is up here is right. We did discuss this asbestos stuff about a year and a half ago, right? It was discussed, but we were discussing in the context of we need funding to start the design of the project. We also said at that time that we will be applying for grants, right? Because grant for the construction, they don't fund the design. So in terms of a number in your mind, we have 10 point something miles of these. If you notice this budget, I just finished it, there were $500,000 in there. I asked for phase 3 of the design of this asbestos stuff to be conducted because we have been applying for grant. We still, I think it was $3 million grant we applied. We still are waiting to hear where that funding is. But we're in preparation to, if we were to get those grants, we already have the plan for phase 3. To be done. So we are working on the design phase to have shovel-ready project when we come to you that we can have the funding to get them in the ground. So, and the gentleman is correct, right? But it takes this amount of time to get an engineering company to design these things. It's 18 months. It's the time frame for the design.
Well, and just to comment on that, I don't think the point was, and I could be corrected by Mr. Beckett, that I don't think it was attack on you and everything.
No. I mean that.
I think it's just opportunities for us to grow.
No, he's right.
And plan and.
No, I love the question because he's right. He's asking very appropriate question. That's why I took the time to answer the question, right?
Yes.
It is not like it is something can happen very quickly, right? It's a lot of work entails in that, right?
Absolutely.
The drawing and everything. So he's right. And I just wanted to endorse his question and to give him the answer. It takes this amount of time for us to do that. So it's not that we're holding back anything. And then we have to come back to you for funding at that time. So I get that point.
Yeah.
All right, solid waste. You want to do it, Josh?
Solid waste.
All right, Mayor, Commissioners, Josh Robinson, Solid Waste, my favorite topic. So as you all are aware, we do twice a week garbage. We run commercial waste daily, 7 days a week, yard waste weekly, bulky appliances, and then bi-weekly recycling. We have a total of 23 employees, including myself, 18 operators, and 1 supervisor. This year or last year, we collected just over 20,000 tons of residential waste. That's just rule of thumb. There's about a ton per home per year, so it kind of matches with what our current house count. Commercial garbage is about a little over 10,000 tons, yard waste 11,000 tons, and recycling 2,300 tons. We've completed over the year's time 1.2 million or 1.5 million requests altogether, including 1.2 million residential services. I always remind everyone we have about 70,000 opportunities a week to make somebody mad. So if we get 20, I'm okay with that. And then, all the rest of those services and work orders. Our personnel cost went up about 300,000. We're adding 2 operators. The operation cost went up about 250,000. That's mostly due to sanitation tipping fees. The county solid waste manager has advised me to figure on about 12% per year for the foreseeable future increase on tipping fees. So, and then capital outlay, we did postpone 1 truck that I would like to have replaced this year. We have everything we need to pick up the trash this year with our spares. We're just keeping 1 truck 1 year longer than I'd hoped. We went from running them anywhere from 12 to 15 years. We're down. We're shooting for 8 years frontline, 10 years for backup equipment. This will put this truck to the 11th year. So we have to feather it out every time. But we got a good budget.
Just one question.
Mhm.
How many trucks do we actually have?
25 altogether. That's collection trucks and auxiliary trucks, like the container trucks and everything. Yeah, 25.
25. And how much are we actually renting?
Right this minute, we have 3.
Oh, it's only 3 trucks?
Yeah. We have 4 that should deliver this fiscal year.
And how many men go on the truck? Because I know we have the
One operator on everything except for the yard waste routes, and then there's the operator with 2 temporary workers on the back.
And most of them are labor force.
Those are temp labor.
How many do we get from the labor force? How many?
2, usually 4 a day, 2 for each route. A little more in the spring when it's real heavy. We may run a 3rd route.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. So just highlights, our safety is ongoing obstacle challenge to maintain a safe operation. We have started, Rob mentioned the GIS. We have GIS on the sanitation trucks that provides us some driving behaviors, so we're able to monitor some of that as well as track where they are, so that helps with that. Productivity, we're a growing city. That's the main thing I try to figure out, is just how many trucks and people we need based on the growth. Maintenance, we do daily inspections. We've got Charlie has improved our PM compliance and tracking, and we have managed to get some of our problems with the hydraulic spillage a little bit better back under control. I know you were hearing a lot of those. Yeah, it's just easy to get away from you, and it takes a lot of focused effort from our whole team to get it back under control. And then labor shortages, I think for all of us, short 2 heads right now. We lost 4 kind of short notice, 2 on their own, and 2 we helped them out a little bit. And it's always challenging getting skilled people. The market it's a workers' market right now, and it's the pay they prefer is a little bit higher than what we're able to start.
So during the salary review, was that
helped? That helped the morale of our current staff a lot. And it brought us close, I think, to the starting market. But like we get a lot of applicants from like Waste Management, Waste Pro. Those guys are used to making $25 an hour, pretty well to start, but.
And where are we with the starting salary?
We're about almost 20, 1980. But that moved up like $1 or a little over $1 this past year. And when they come to us with experience, we're able to usually get a little bump for them. So, but it's just volume of applicants. You just got to interview a lot of people to get good people, and it's just a slow process when you lose 4 people at once.
Do they require a special license in order to have
a commercial driver's license?
Commercial driver's license.
Mm-hmm. just for the future, our landfill capacity and tipping fees. Keene Road is on the horizon, just something to think about. And Orange County, also in relation to the recycling, they've been chasing a recycling facility for like the past 5 years. They finally got the RFP out. I think they're in negotiations with their top vendor. So hopefully those prices are just going out of control, and there's just any financial benefit with recycling is just a thing of the past. And so hopefully they'll get something nailed down this year with their hauler or with their contractor, and then we can come to you with a little better idea of what the future looks like in terms of recycling, and we'll make decisions which way we want to go there. So.
But we are still collecting recyclables.
We do curbside.
Where does it go?
We take it to Waste Management over on McLeod Road. They have a transfer station there.
Wait, on McLeod?
McLeod, and then they haul it to the stuff they actually recycle. They haul it to, I think, Tampa. They have a MRF over in Tampa.
So when you say Keene Road is almost at its capacity,
Keene Road, that's where we take our yard waste and bulky waste, and it's still, quite a few years, but it's in terms of landfills, it's getting close to the end. Just something that we'll be faced with, finding a place for our trash. The county also, when they finish their new recycling MRF, they will be looking to. We don't have an interlocal agreement with the county or anyone for our disposal of our waste, which kind of leaves us in. It should always be there. They're required to provide it, but I'd feel a lot more comfortable if we had that long-term interlocal. And I think that'll happen once they build the new recycling facility, because he wants to nail down our recycling tonnage. So we'll at the same time nail down a place for our solid waste long-term.
Mm-hmm. When you say it's coming to the end, yet you're saying we have space, but it's coming to the end.
20 years.
Sort of a time frame.
20-ish years.
And where are we with that? I don't know how to measure that.
Well, that's about how much life there is, about within 20 years.
So within 20 years.
Yeah. So that's getting close. And with the growth, that time frame could shorten. So.
Yeah, because with all the developments that are going on, so all those leftover construction and all that ends up at Keene Road.
Keene Road, or while the private haulers use also Golden Gem landfill. Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions for Josh?
Go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Do we get revenue from that? What is the revenue like when they come and use our landfill?
We don't get, that's probably we don't own the landfill.
Oh, we don't?
Yeah, we pay that out. I don't know, at one time there was agreement with Waste Management for this one over here, but yeah, we pay per ton, just like everyone else, to dispose of the waste. Yeah, our revenue is all from user fees, all from residents and businesses that we provide service to.
Is Keene Road in our city?
Mm-hmm.
We just renewed that agreement, didn't we, recently with Waste Management? Yeah, I think it was since I've been elected. So we just renewed that a year or two ago.
Commissioner Vesta?
Yes, I just wanted to. I know we had some truck issues with them being parked together and having some rodents chewing things. Are we doing the same thing, parking them next to each other, or did we kind of adjust that to make sure it doesn't happen?
There's limits to how far we can spread out. We did stagger. We've got a parking plan so that we won't lose all of one type of truck. So we stagger the types of trucks. Don't park, all 6 or all 10 of the automateds right together. They're all staggered around. The new fleet facility, that'll help some with space and parking, and we can spread out. But as the fleet grows, that's a lot of real estate to keep the kind of distance you would need to totally remove that risk.
Gotcha.
Now the rodents, Charlie is trying he's found a device to put on it that sends out a frequency. We're going to try that out and see if that helps. We've used everything else, and it's just part of.
Get some cats.
Yeah.
They're great. Thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions for Josh? Okay, thank you.
public.
Yes, so
Public, come on down.
Albert McKinley, 3603 Golden Gem Road. In terms of collection of waste material, is there an opportunity where the city could actually make some money out of collecting waste material? It occurs to me that there's a lot of that recycled material, if it were collected in a specialist manner, could provide revenue, or it could provide materials for the homeless. We actually did a project that proved that this could be done. The incentive to the developer would be either in the form of tax credits, or if there was a non-profit formed, any of the materials that was donated and picked up and could be reused to be recycled would be tax deductible. Typically, there's a 3% wastage on the build of a new property. So if a new property costs a developer $200,000 to manufacture, potentially he could get $6,000 in tax credits by recycling materials in a manner that would be conducive to the environment and to his own pocket.
All right, stormwater.
Right. Well, the stormwater division is funded from a stormwater utility fund, and the division is comprised of 5 positions. There are no vacancy. The division is managed by Richard R., city engineer, and he's responsible for the MS4 permit, provide planning and design for flood control, water control, and responsible for drainage study, right-of-way acquisition, maintenance and repair of city drainage, 24-hour emergency, and education and outreach to reduce stormwater pollution. Now, the structure of the division is as such. You have stormwater management, the CIP, and you have the MS4. The MS4 is a major portion of this activities right now. For the accomplishment, if you look at the picture, one of the important questions that always arise, from citizen or complaint is about this retention pond. You can see here that we have cleaned Lester Pond. You can see how it looks before and after. But it takes a lot of funding to do this. So in terms of the accomplishment, we had rehabilitated the pond for $27,000. We have also rehabilitated Lake Doe Pond, and we have a maintenance program for 67 stormwater city pond. And also 162 maintenance work order was completed. These are some of the accomplishments, as you can see, from the permit compliance, which is a big portion because our staff now, we have a staff of 2 inspectors, and Jennifer doing a great job in terms of complying with inspecting this construction work for storage, illicit discharge, and talking to them, educating them, and even so trying to work with them about better BMP practices. In terms of the budget, what we have here is that there's a slight increase of $30,000 for personal costs. And why this cost is a net increase? Because we asked for an additional position. As you know, early in my conversation, I said we had requested, I think, 2 positions, so we got one MP. So that is accommodated in this 518 that you saw there. In terms of operational costs, there is just a 1% increase. It's a net increase of 11,475. And I think this is attributed to repair maintenance costs with slip lining and drainage structures. In terms of the capital outlay, there's an overall increase of 259,000. This increase is due to the purchasing of a F-350 to be used to haul heavy equipment as well as crew and supply. It's also attributed to the replacement of 2 street sweeper that are beyond repair. So we have 2 street sweeper beyond repair. One is already put for surplus. The other one is incapable of working. So we are replacing those 2 with one proper street sweeper is a request. And that is why you find the 258. Now, this is a very big bare bone budget here because we had to put many things on costs. because we were given a fund and we were told that this is the revenue that we have. So the revenue that we have is what we tailored our operation with. So what does this revenue do? This is restricting us to do pond maintenance. We have a planned maintenance for 57 city-owned pond. There's a historical lack of maintenance of these ponds. But apparently, we don't have enough funding to get those done with the utility fund that is established. We also have many friend drain, which I can show you. We have a program of these. It was all Jennifer, she's in the audience. She went out there and she took pictures. She made establishment. We have a spreadsheet. We kind of know what it costs. So we kind of know that they need maintenance and what it costs. Unfortunately, we thought that our fund would be better this year, but it was worse than we thought. So a lot of these programs, we will be doing minimum maintenance like inspection and service, but the major lifting will not be done because we don't have the funding to hire a contractor or to replace them as we see fit. We do have some funding for some pipelining, which is some of the money that we receive, but in generally, this is a very bone project with many of the ambition that we had, right, of clean up this retention pond, doing everything else. We need some more funding to do that. So as a result, we are going to perform the service just basically like what we did last year. With the new position that we have, what we decide to do is to divide the crew into two so we can get the inspection done and also we can get some cleaning and major minor inlet inspection and everything done with that program. So that is really the gist of the story here for the stormwater.
Any questions on stormwater?
In reference to the street sweepers, I've had a couple gated communities reach out and say, would we as a city contract in any way the services to street sweep for gated communities in the area? Is that a thought? Is that anything that would possible more money? But I don't know what that would look like.
From my experience, I would not want to go down that road because in the county we have a lot of MSBU districts like Belle Isle and every place else. And what they do, they raise their own fund as a homeowner association and they contract their own sweeper to do that because they need a smaller equipment, a smaller sweeper can get in the neighborhood and they have more frequency. And when I was working with the county, we never sweep gated community because we hired these services on all the county roads. So I think it never occurred to me to look at the cost benefit of it, if there's a cost benefit. But right now, I think the administrative services and every other thing that comes with somebody complaining and calling with the rest on our shoulders. So,
understood.
And with a limited staff, I would not want to suggest that now.
I was requested to ask. Thank you.
But I'm being honest to explain that to myself.
So my question is here, you said services placed on hold because of funding.
Yeah.
Yet I look at some of this and this is just maintenance. So when you say you're going to do the minimum maintenance, how do you define what?
Right. What happened here, like say for example, the friend drain rehabilitation I showed there, 500 feet to replace over a 4-year plan. You have to replace these. You have to get a contractor, right? You have to excavate down, take them out, put in a new exfiltration trench. It costs money to do that per linear feet. We don't have that funding in the contract services because we're out of money, right? So as a result, what I'm saying that minimum maintenance that will be done, we cannot go ahead and inspect and we can just go ahead and maybe borrow George jetter sometime if there's blockage and jet it, through. And because George have a jetter, so we can do borrow his jetter if there's a blockage or something to get those minimum maintenance done. But we know these pipes are not functioning, so they need to be replaced. So that's what I mean by minimum maintenance, that we will do what it takes right now to prevent any flooding situation. But what we know, the final decision that had to make here, this pipe had to be removed and replaced. It is not functioning. A fan didn't function where the water comes in and percolate down. This does not work, so it needs to be replaced. So that is what I meant by minimum maintenance. We're going to do the routine stuff that is necessary on the surface, but the major structural repair, we don't have the funding to do it.
So how many French drains do we have?
We have 500 feet of them, so we were looking to replace them in 4 year time. So, and we have them on a spreadsheet, right?
5,000.
5,000, right, 5,000 feet.
Been inspected, yeah.
Right, and they have been inspected. We had video of them and everything else. It's just that they need to be replaced.
So we have 5,000 French drains and
5,000 feet.
oh, five,
Feet, right?
five,
5,000 feet.
5,000
Feet,
feet.
right?
And they have been inspected. Okay. So when you say,
Similarly, on the same topic, we have corrugated metal pipe. The corrugated metal pipe, you can see it, you can collapse. You know, a lot of things happen in Frank out and center of a corrugated metal pipe when the big collapse occur. These pipe either need to be, they're inspected, they need to be slip lined because they're so deep, you know, to protect them. But slip lining is an exercise that you construct a pipe in a pipe. You know, you don't excavate. So it costs you to do that, right? So those are all projects. Some of them have been pushed back because of funding.
So all the funding for these projects come from the sanitation fund?
No, they come from stormwater utility fund. I wish if sanitation could give me some of those money.
So it all comes from stormwater.
Right, utility, stormwater utility.
It's an assessment that goes into the trim. So it's an assessment.
It's on your tax bill.
Part of your taxes.
So is it illegal or improper to use funds from another source in order to get these projects done?
It should be self-sustaining. We can just, see what we can do to increase the assessment. But we do have an increase in revenue of about 300,000 budget over budget. So it did increase. And that could be to new parcels or something like that. But we'll have to.
Well, we changed the formula.
The base plus.
Huh?
You mean the base plus?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. That's
And-
factored in there too.
And then some additional growth. But
Yeah. So probably those components increase the revenue a little bit, but maybe, we can increase that base. But we'll talk about all these increases.
Right, and Commissioner, just for the record, there was an article in the newspaper several months ago in the city of Orlando. I live in the city, right? The cost went up. They have a 5-year plan, and the cost is double. For the 100, and I think now the bill went up to $200 and something dollars per year, and it will continue to increase for the next 4 years because of stormwater utility and the maintenance of this infrastructure. So everybody it's a growing pain with every municipality. The infrastructure is getting old. The funding and the revenue is not there to support the infrastructure. But the city has raised.
I don't even think we cleaned the first pond until 2 years ago. Is that right?
Yeah, because
Last pond was, just occurred this fiscal year.
yeah.
So we have never cleaned a pond.
Yeah, and give it the credit to the mayor. Has been keep coming to us, and the mayor played a big important part. Oh my! They said, "Mayor, we can get to it."
But that's an analysis or a fee that Raf Tillis also works on for us. They could go out and do the inventory of all the parcels and everything. So we can have that discussion later this week with them as well.
All right, and so do you have a dollar figure as to what it would cost to implement these things that we're putting on hold?
Yeah, we do have the cost. I can't remember. You have it in your head right now. But we have it break down. Each one of them, we have the cost. But I don't know the number right now.
Okay.
Yeah, you have to, but Jennifer, estimate? Yes. I can send it to your email if you like to.
Yes, that'd be fine.
Yeah, everybody can get it. I sent it to the email, the spreadsheet, and the cost.
All right.
Would that be fine?
Yes.
All right. Okay.
Any other questions on stormwater? Not. Come on down.
Page from Albert McKibby, Golden Gem Road. Page from Devo's report, dated March the 4th. Directed to Brian Nelson. It's strange today that we have no items in the budget for any drainage requirements to the 50-acre site at Golden Gem Road, because a major part of that report stated, and I'll read it from the report, direct runoff saturating soil and flow under and over the liner. In fact, from aerial surveys of this site, it's not only swales that we need down the side of the road. The city's experts didn't even manage to find a depression that I found on the east side of the berm facing the 429. It took them over 3 months to find something I directed them to find. So, if we look at these pictures, we can see stain marks all the way around the edge of the liner. That means there's been runoff from the edges of the berms into the pond. There's 200 million gallons of water that we really don't know where it came from. I think Devo said there was 300 million in. The city said there was 108. So we've got 200 million gallons of water that we don't know where it came from. So if you can't account for it, it can't be quantified as being safe water. That came from runoff. So we now have major problems at that site, and there's nothing here to address the fact that we're going to need drainage. We're spending money fixing a site without any drainage. In fact, at this particular moment in time, I defy you to show me permits where there are work for drainage to happen.
In regards
Rob?
to, oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. No, it's in regards to stormwater, I think we had to submit an increase prior to July 1st. So if we wanted to increase anything on stormwater.
I'm sorry, I didn't.
On the stormwater assessment, I think the due date on that was July 1st. That's what I'm being told. If we wanted to do an increase.
Rod Olson, 3156 Rolling Hills Lane, Apopka. I'll try to make this my last time I'm up, but I'm used to, in the healthcare industry, and I'm used to, in the food service industry, building a budget on need. What do I need in materials? What do I need in supplies? What do I need in personnel in order to get the job done? Then you look at the aspect of revenue. How can we afford it? What do we do? Some of what we're doing is like I did with my first car, hole in the muffler. 2 straps, a tin can. And when that rusts through, the bigger tin can. I was in food service then, so I had access to a lot of cans. We have to stop kicking that can down the road. We need to take timely, look at what the needs are. What do you guys need in personnel? What do you need in supplies? What do you need in materials to get the job done? And then we have to look at the revenue, whether it's millage, whether it's grant funding, whatever the case might be. Budget must be built on need. Thank you.
All right, street maintenance.
Right. Well, the streetwell division is staffed by 15 employees, and currently there are 3 vacancies. The operation function is divided into 2 functional areas. One is a field maintenance activity, and the other is traffic operation contract services. The field maintenance is managed by the program management supervisor, Gregory, and the other functions such as piggyback contract, quotes, FDOT contract, resurfacing operation, traffic operation, and emergency function are managed by the program supervisor, Michael Ortiz. The division function is managed by the director this time. The division provides for the following: contract management, right-of-way maintenance, traffic maintenance, as the list goes on there. This is the structure that we have at this time for the street maintenance, the program supervisor. So basically we have a program section and we have a maintenance, a field maintenance section operation. The accomplishment that this section have done is sidewalk 1.97 miles, curb 3,619 feet, apron, ADA ramps, and asphalt patches. That combination of work that was all performed this year. We did the brick road repair for the total cost of $75,000. And also we did the paving program, called in place 1.4 mile mill and overlay, and micros 1.4 mile, and Cape Seal 6.12. We also came here, there was a board presentation. We did the Piedmont Lake Phase 1, tree removal and concrete repair. We got some money, and we said we are going to do Phase 2 and come in this year, and Phase 3. on that program. We also see on the picture there, there's Vic Road and Leicester Road restoration, right? Which I think we have done some work on that and completed, right? And complete that. And Commissioner Alexander, you sent us a thank you note on that as well. And so we have 27th and 8th Street roadway realignment we did, and then we have a subdivision called Martin Hill and subdivision. There was severe pothole in that subdivision that we went and repaired, but that is one among two of the subdivisions that is very bad in the area. In terms of the budget, right, we have the personnel cost went up to $75,000, and this is due primarily again for the salary and retirement stuff. The operation cost there is basically a decrease of $209,448. Now, this is the most painful budget here that I'm going to present to you for tonight, because there is a lot of cut in the operation here to make this budget work, and you're going to see what I'm going to explain here. In this budget here, we had to cut. Last year we had $765,760 for sidewalk well repaired. Unfortunately, let me step back and explain something. In this budget here, there was a resurfacing program we had. Those resurfacing program for the past 2 years was funded by coronavirus fund. We had $3 million 1 year, $2 million the following year, and last year we had $2 million. Well, we no longer have those funds. The revenue that is generated according to what Blanche told me from this street maintenance money come from the gas taxes are not enough to sustain this program to maintain. So as a result, to balance this budget, we will have zero money in the resurfacing. So what we have done is to take $500,000 from the sidewalk program and move it to the capital outlay to just balance that. What that means? It means that we are working on a budget here, right? Even more, it's less than what we have done for this year. So it is a growing pain budget. We're going to do less sidewalk, less roads, and as a result, the infrastructure will be continuing to be, getting worse and worse if you don't start to expend some more funding, right, or find some funding elsewhere to support this budget funding here. So that is what happened here in the capital outlay. We are really asking for $120,000 for a Ford crew cab, because we have equipment that we have to tote around to get work done, and having a F-550 will enable us to do that more efficiently and safely. So we're asking well for that, and as well as there is $50,000 for the roadway resurfacing included in the outlay as well. The reason I want to bring up this paving program here, because the last budget meeting, I provide a presentation here, and basically there was a road called Mayflower were discussed. And I think at the time of that road, Mayflower was discussed, it was said here in the council that we will put that road to be done in this budget year. Unfortunately, that road is a dead-end road, to be discussed. All these roads like House Road, East Keene Road, Mayflower Avenue, Martin Road, if you look at them, they're getting worse. And the issue here that you're having with these roads, if you don't maintain these roads, you don't find the funding to maintain these roads are going to get worse and worse. And it will cost you 3 times or 4 times more the cost to do this road. To pave a million overlay 1 mile of road right now is around $258,000. Those costs are not going down. They keep increasing $50,000 from the previous year to now, because the material is going up, asphalt price is going up, so some way or the other, I know it is a tough constraint. I just wanted to explain it to you that for the infrastructure here, we need funding. Staff is going to do their best what they can with the limited resources, like in doing the street inspection and what they can do. We have a internal maintenance services. We did ask here though for a position which was a foreman a position because because of funding we couldn't get it because had we got that well position we have a team that we could have divided into two groups, right? And we could probably get a little bit more work done with sidewalks, street inspection, signs, and everything done because we could have the flexibility to have two foremen to run those groups, right? So as a result, because of funding, we were unable to make any further cut in order to achieve that. So I just want to say if internal staff or have to do anything else, that may be if there is any saving anywhere, this well department need well the fund and need anything that you can see elsewhere to put in the street maintenance fund.
So I do remember the Mayflower Street. That was because a big business was supposed to be coming into our city. Is that business still coming to our city?
No.
Okay, no. And that was the reason why it was persistent to bring Mayflower to city standards. And it was for the business that was supposed to be coming in. And that is important because that's one of, I'll tell you the truth, we hear that often about the streets, the improvements, uh, all the roadways and the streets. So you're saying we don't have a budget for that right now?
I can tell you $500,000 are not going to scratch the surface for your needs.
I mean,
Let me give you an example of something here. In the past 3 years, right, we have been doing, I wrote it down here just to give you a perspective of what is happening. In the past 3 years, we have done 11 miles in 2021, right? In 22, we have done like 9 miles. In 2020, 22, 23, we have done 12 miles. And this year, we have done 8.57 miles. Now, keep that perspective in mind. For this year alone, for the past 2 years, you're adding 8.5 miles of road per year. So basically, it's a balance. You're adding more roads, right, from subdivision development than what you are reconstructing or rehabilitated. So you're not catching up. You're going farther and farther behind in the road work. So just keep that in perspective, you know. And what I'm saying, you're having more road added. Our road now inventory, according to the FDOT data I have, is 218 miles. In 2001, it's 117 miles. So in perspective, in future, you have to find some mechanism in order to fund these roads.
So I'm going to say this. You as the public service director, I mean, what direction can you give us? So what advice can you give us?
I don't know. I don't have a bank account big enough to loan any money to you.
So,
No,
so
it's all
let
about
me,
funding.
yeah, let me. This fund has been functioning in a deficit for many years. We are transferring $3.4 million to this fund to balance this budget at the $5.9 million out of the general fund. That is causing us to use the reserves. That is a part of that use of reserves. So when we get down to it, we're going to have to make a decision because this is reoccurring, because this is just bare bone.
Yeah.
And we have the gas tax revenue is flat. Now we do have an increase in the electric tax revenue. Of course, that allowed us to transfer more over to the streets fund. But we do have to be, that program was funded with one-time money. That one-time money does not exist anymore.
Right.
So we do need to look at how we can increase revenues for streets, but it is coming from the general fund right now, which is coming out of the reserves, which is going to impact the millage.
But the millage isn't going to be the end all be all to this, right?
Right.
Even increasing the millage the max we could,
No, correct.
we're not even close.
Correct. There's other factors as well.
So what's the plan?
Well, we don't currently have a plan. We have an issue. So currently we're funding it out of reserves. That's
Now,
what we need to discuss is a plan, how we're going to go forward.
in my experience, this is a problem nationwide because the road tax everywhere has gone flat, and really it rises to the state level. This is where you may need to start pushing on our representatives, our legislators at the state level, to help us come up with a solution. This is somewhere we need to work with our Florida League of Cities to see if they can lobby for us and come up with a solution, because this is affecting every city in Florida. And they're doing the same thing that we are. They're putting band-aids on it. They're transferring. They're upping their millage rates, and they're transferring from the general fund into the street fund for the maintenance. And that has been happening for the last 4 years.
Well, to just give a little scale, I mean, 200,000 per lane mile, right?
Right.
So if we've got 200 miles of street times 2, that's 400 miles times 200,000. You got $80 million worth of maintenance to do over the next 20 years. That kind of gives you the rough breakdown there, just of pavement resurfacing.
Something I should lose sleep about.
Well, something that a strategic plan
Yeah.
in place would definitely help to
Yeah, it would.
not have us here.
Right. I'm not an expert in this field, but I always feel that we should look at the transportation impact fee with some attorney to look at that fee and to see whether that money can be used if we widen some of these roads or do some other improvement that can facilitate, because that fee is very restricted, right? But if you could get an interpretation, I'm just saying this, that you could widen the road, give some capacity or something else, right? Yeah, and that could be a potential, because in terms of revenue here, we're struggling to find out how we're going to keep up with it. And what is happening to these roads? You have development, more people is moving in, and they're driving these roads. So basically, by the time you get this revenue, these roads are not going to be the same. You have to do like what we did in Yada Road. In Yada Road, for 1 mile of that road, we spent about $800,000, because it's a different process you have to use, because the base gone. When you have repeated use of these roads, you have potholes, you have the base is going to go, and you cannot use mill and overlay anymore. You have to do coal in place recycle to build the base to take the capacity of that road. So it is a struggle. I just wanted to bring this information to you.
So when a new development is coming in and they're using the roads to do the construction in this development, are they in any way contributing to the use of that road? The developers.
I don't know too much about the rule here, but I can tell you this: if when I was in Orange County, because I was in charge with the maintenance, when we have new development is coming in and they're using the impact of that road, I will always go to the engineer section, because my staff is there, and said, we want a picture before the road, because they use it as a haulage route, right? And any deterioration, we get the contractor to fix that road.
Do we have that in place?
I don't think our ordinance, or from my recollection, you have that here.
Would that be something that our new chief administrator will look into? So it would just be, but Orange County actually has an ordinance right now for that?
I think the engineering section, I have to speak to Diana back how we did it, but whenever we have more impact using those roads, right, we get the developer to repair the road. Once they provide that the impact from the truck and the haulage route is impacting the road.
Would you look into them?
I will look into that and get
Yeah,
back.
because I mean, that's who's really impacting the roads before even the residents come into a development, has been the actual construction. Trucks, they use the road until, development has been created. I don't see the residents putting the impact. They come in afterwards, but the road has already been kind of
Yeah.
used and abused.
Yeah.
All right.
Any other questions?
And so you're saying that transportation impact fees cannot be used for this?
No, I don't think
They
it can be
can, they
used.
cannot be used for maintenance.
You're
They
right.
can be used for the widening, and we have done that. You know, when a road is widened. But
So like
this is
Haas Road, I
maintenance.
was saying here, it's you gotta get an attorney to interpret it. But it's a very thin area here to use it. Like Haas Road, you can say, okay, I'm going to extend 2 feet here, and still get the road to be paved. But really, what Blanche is saying, she's right. You cannot use impact fee.
Can it be used for turning lanes?
Yeah.
Any
Any increase,
expansion, something expanding, widening, yeah.
yeah, bring capacity. You have a turning rate, it increase capacity. Yes, you can use that.
The 1 cent sales tax would have fixed this issue, wouldn't it have?
It would have helped.
Yeah, it will help.
But we were emphatically against it, correct?
We didn't sign up for it.
We didn't sign up for it. I don't think we were treated fairly by the county, but it's not going to be on the ballot this year either, so it'll be in 26 maybe.
All right, that is the end of. Assured.
You want to?
Albert McKinney, 3603 Golden Gem Road. In defence of the city, we face problems that other municipalities don't face. If you look at Winter Garden and Winter Park, their density is 1/3 of our density. Therefore, it's not just the roads we have to look at. We have to look at what's going to come tomorrow. Every time somebody makes a call for service, or police, ambulance and fire have to travel 3 times as far on those roads as a comparable other municipality. So there's lots of reasons why our budgetary requirements aren't in line with other municipalities. If you simply go on a per capita basis, we're not comparing apples with apples. We're comparing apples with oranges. As to Commissioner Velasquez's point, should we be making people pay for deterioration road? That's difficult because Golden Gem Road belongs to who? Orange County. Who is using it? City of Apopka did all the planning and development on it. So how do you bring Orange County to pay for something that's effectively it's a City of Apopka that's using? It's not just as simple and straightforward as all that.
All right. Next up, fleet.
This is the last one for the operation budget here. The fleet division is responsible for the maintenance of the city vehicle, including automotive and specialized vehicles, small equipment, heavy equipment, emergency well generator, and emergency ambulance. The division operates and maintains the citywide refueling system and clean burning compressed natural gas (CNG) filling station, as well as disposal of city vehicle and equipment. The division is staffed by 13 skilled technicians and is managed by a fleet superintendent, Charles Stevenson, under the advisement of Josh Robinson, public service operation manager. Currently, there are 2 vacancies. With respect to the public service asset, the division has the following, and Commissioner Nestor, the last budget presentation, I promised to at least make an evaluation of this and provide it. I still have not completed it, but this is the synopsis of what I have found so far. What I found so far, 55% of our fleet on average is over the expected service life, right? And the number of the money that you saw on that from rolling stock, I was able to come up with that because I know that you had requested me to look into that. In terms of the management operation, it is shown up there with the fleet superintendent. The accomplishment they have done is instrumental in getting a new fire truck put in service. They supply more than 390,000 gallons of conventional fluids, fuel. They maintain a fleet of 25 sanitation vehicles and 6 fire trucks. They perform 2,000 work orders, procure more than 151,000 in parts and 300,000 in supplied material. And they acquired 43 new equipment, 6 trucks, 19 PD SUV, 1 bush hog, 70s, and we disposed 21 surplus cars and trucks. In terms of the budget here, there is an increase in the personnel costs, and that increase is about 439,000 And that is attributed because we are requesting 4 new staff, a foreman and 3 maintenance staff. The reason being is the current situation that we are facing fleet is that we are behind the maintenance schedule. The amount of staff we have, they put it in, the facility constraint, they have to work in the heat in the day. The unit is small, right? It is a very adverse situation in the hot heat to get this maintenance and this vehicle done. They also have limited constraint. We are doing a redesign of a new facilities there. So as a result, we think, and Josh had worked the number out, right, that basically if we can get a minimum and of a foreman and 3 staff, we can have a night shift operation so that we can, the backlog that we are having, we can able to sustain that. So this is what we want to request in the budget, and that's why we said that we are requesting the 4 new position there in order to make that work. Just it was a foreman and 3 operate, right? Three mechanics. So that's what we are requesting, and that's the reason why that number is 439. In terms of the operation, the amount, we had an increase of 164,000. This increase is due to basically, we have this CNG. We are not very skill set, or the operators are not very skill set. So we have to use contractors on a maintenance contract to look at the dry installation, the CNG facilities. And this CNG facilities at least more than, I think, more than 10 years old, right, Joe? Right? More than 10-year-old. So it is wear and tear, and we have to fix this CNG, and these are skill set operators. So this increase is going for security, fences, maintenance of the dry installation, and the dispenser of the seas. It's the majority of money is spent in order to remediate the CNG well facilities. In terms of capital outlay, we have basically a slight increase there as well, 222,000, and it's attributed to phase 3 construction of a new facilities. Basically, it's not really the word is construction. We have right now the plan design is being done for the facilities. We have phase 2 of the plan. We are thinking to complete that plan design, right? We may need some more funding for geotechnical work around the grading area. So we thought that $75,000 will be able to complete the design of the 3 facilities. You heard that Josh were up here, and the question came up about the sanitation parking. So whatever our plan that we are coming up with are going to show what the future will be in terms of where the parking for sanitation truck, where we put the unit. So we have a framework where we can come back to you when we decide and say, look, we can work this stuff in phases. We need some money to get this done, because the operation there to work in that capacity is very constrained. And the type of job that those guys are doing is humongous right now. So we thought, given the people the night shift operation, we can able to improve the operation. This is the minimum that we can ask for you to consider for the fleet. I think that should be everything here. I covered here.
Any questions on fleet?
I'm sorry, can you just, what is it that you need in order to get the night shift functional?
We need 1 foreman and 3 equipment mechanics.
It's in the budget.
It's in the budget. It is included, 439 there is included in the budget. So your approval for the budget when it's necessary.
Okay.
All right. Next up, water impact fee.
Yeah, the water impact fee, this is the forward. Oh.
Albert McKinney, 3603 Golden Gem Road. Just a question that occurs to me. When we go back a little bit of time, there was an annexation workshop when we were discussing vehicles. Now, if we're trying to nickel and dime things, my recollection is some of the fire tenders, some of the fire trucks, and some of the ambulances had to be ordered 3-4 years in advance. Have we got sufficient funds set aside just now for making the deposits to purchase new vehicles for 4 years down the line?
All right, water impact fee.
Right, the water impact fee, this is the first time that we are presenting this just for the information record here. In fiscal year 24-25, we have 4.4 million will be utilized from that fund. And that fund, we just want to outline to you what it will be doing. Is a feasibility study to account for the existing and future growth and the need for new potable water treatment plant location design. Commissioner Waldana asked that question about the future, what will happen. So I just wanted this feasibility to start to think, as I said, not wait until 2030 for the city to then dream ahead of what they need to do. So this is a pre-feasibility to analyze existingly what is happening and to give us some food of thought of what the plan should be in the future. The existing Gothenburg ground storage tank expansion, as well as construction in lower aquifer, and the need for a new treatment technology. Now, this is the first time that we are going to the lower aquifer there. We have a lot of wells in the lower aquifer, but the geology of that area, right, may necessitate, we don't know what the chemistry of that groundwater will tell us, the well water will tell us. So one of the exploratory stuff that we have to do is to look at new treatment technology. So we have to do some testing. And what we are testing for is just a prediction that there may be a little bit more sulfide when you go down deep in the aquifer. So you have to do some more treatment. So this is giving us a mechanism to plan ahead. Like, for example, in Orange County, in Winter Park, you have ozone treatment, right, in some of these stations, right? This is going to give us, should we find out that when it's in operation, that the sulfur level is higher, we have to come up with a mechanism because the the EPA will tell us we have to do this. And ozone may be the treatment. So we're doing we're exploring the feasibility of what it takes to do this. We're not waiting for it to happen and then come back to you. We want to have a plan in place here. So that is what we're using that for. So we have also to do some sampling, which is $200,000. We have a new high service pump station addition at the Northwest plant. We're adding a new GST tank there, but existingly there is a tank there, and we just wanted to replace the high service pump because it's old, and that's what that money is for. New water main upsizing throughout the city service area. We have, according to the master plan, there's recommendation to upsize some of these, right? That money is in there because usually these things are done by developer through agreement if they're constructing. And then we're asking them to upsize those pipes, and we have to pay for that upsizement. So that money is a placeholder for some of those. This is what I just wanted to give you a perspective of what that money will be spent for. In terms of the reuse impact fee fund.
Questions on that one? Water impact? Okay.
Oh, yeah. In terms of the reuse impact fund, right, what we're using that for, we have $5.1 million there. We're using for the Northwest Recreation Reclaimed Water Storage Eastbound Pump Station for recreation fee. I should explain this to you in this diagram here. Currently, I begin the conversation, you see from this diagram, there's a Northwest Pond, which I call Little JD Pond, right? We have a project out to bid right now because reused water goes to that pond, but unfortunately, we don't have a mechanism to distribute that water. So that project is out to bid right now, all right? And we can now provide a pump station and a mechanism so that we can take water, storage water from there, which is reused water, right? Treated water to send there and put it back to the distribution system. This east pond that you see there, this east pond was constructed way back in 2014, right? And the way this pond was constructed, I can just tell you what I can decipher on this stuff. It was taken, we use water as well as stormwater in this pond. And this pond have a filtration system at the bottom of this pond. And that filtration system, after the water gets in the filters, it then flows it by pump, right? And it's checked for turbidity, chlorination, and then pumped towards our ground storage tank there. Unfortunately, it was used intermittently back in 2014, 2015. And basically, the design was a flaw because the filtration system become clogged and blocked. It is under the pond. To rehabilitate this pond, from my neck of the woods, I have this problem to solve, right? And I find it's not cost benefit to do it because the consultant said you can spend $1 million to do it. So what we decided in consultation with Radley is that we will make this pond, right, cut it off from the distribution system. Rehabilitate this pond to just irrigate Jason Dwelly. So we are working on this program using the fee. So what will happen here? We can have a pump station, right? This is treated water and storm water. We can do have a filtration system and a pump, but it will be connected directly to irrigate Jason Dwelly spray field. So it will be useful in that capacity. In terms of the West Pond, we are also working on the design, right, in order to make that a reuse pond and connect it with a pump to our distribution line there, as you see. So those are the operation that is in planning. What I want to explain here, I found this constraint, I'm trying to fix it. It's very expensive, but if something will not function for so long, right, it is no sense to go ahead and build something new when you can remediate this and make it sustainable, right? It will be costly, but it will enable us to function in the reuse system in a better way. And this is what this program is about, and that's what the impact money will be used for, is we are in the design stage of that.
Any questions on the reuse? Anybody? Come on.
Albert McKimmey, 3603 Golden Gem Road. In respect to Jason Dwelly, it wasn't always the case. That did function and was able to service the city with water. There was 2 other ponds built round about there. They are slightly different from the initial pond. They also were aquifer recharge. That means that you can spill water out of those and allow it to go back into the aquifer. The problem, as I said yesterday, was those ponds were never designed to continuously allow water to overflow, because then you have the same problem as we have at Golden Gem Road. Ingression of water underneath the liner, causing erosion, and potentially, if there's sandy ground underneath it, you can cause collapse, the same as we did at Golden Gem Road. And as I said earlier, I was rather annoyed that you're saying that Golden Gem Road was a natural event. It wasn't natural, it was neglect. Now, neglect is common in this city, because we also have a facility at Lust Road. Lust Road at one time was capable of producing, I think, 5 million gallons per day. I think peak 15 million. It was last used, I think, 2 years before Mayor Nelson came in to his tenure. But again, what we're doing in this city is allowing neglect and penny pinching, where we don't have to spend money now because we don't want to spend it on budget. We want to make our reserves look good, and we allow things to fall into disrepair. Now, while we're speaking about Jason Dwelly, it came to my attention on a contract that I was reading about Golden Gem Road, that before the city was allowed to take Golden Gem Road, it had to be fenced. It appears that St. John's believe that any retention ponds should be fenced. But we don't have fencing around Jason Dwelly. We don't have fences around those 2 small ponds that are overflow ponds, one of which is close to school. So was there an exception granted so that we didn't need fencing around Jason Dwelly? I don't know the answer, but somebody should find out before somebody falls in the pond and dies, because you can't have a swimming pool that's not secure. Your code enforcement wouldn't allow it, but yet we've got kids, cyclists, and all sorts of people running around Jason Dwelly, and nobody knows the answer. And what's worse is city records won't give me the information that I need when I ask for it.
Next up, sewer impact fee.
Do we have to have fences around these? Do we know that?
What the question?
What do we have to have fences around these ponds? Or are we looking into that? Can you look into that?
I can look into it, but I don't think so.
Okay.
The fencing for this pond are function by the slope, and that slope is more than 5-1. So.
I can tell you what the city ordinance is, Commissioner, but I can tell you by permit, we're not permitted to have fencing around those that you're talking about at Jason Well. Now, the golden.
Can you come up to the mic just so people can hear what you're saying?
Yes.
Thank you.
Glenn Brooks, Water Resource Manager. To your question there, on our operating permit for those ponds in question, we're not permitted to have fencing around them. We are permitted to have signs out there saying that there's reclaimed water, no swimming and stuff, but no fencing is required from that. Now, if there's a city ordinance saying that we need to have fencing, I'm not aware of that. But I can tell you from a permitting standpoint, we're not required to have fencing around this.
Okay.
Does that, I'm sorry, Mr. Glenn, does that include the Jason Dooley, that big pond?
Yeah, that's the one I'm talking about.
Oh,
yes,
okay.
ma'am. Okay.
Sewer impact fee.
Right. The budget highlight here you see for fiscal year 24-25 is $12 million there that we're going to use. And as you can see, the biggest item there is I discussed earlier, is the South Forest Avenue lift station force main. Remember, we said that the lift station 17 and force main, that is the estimated cost to construct that force main, this 2-mile force main. We also have a lift station capacity upsizing, meaning that we're going to have we have studies done, and we're going to look at some of these lift stations to see how we can increase the capacity because they may reach the maximum capacity. Sewer main extension and upsizing, you have $1 million there. Again, that funding is there in case there is a main extension from a developer or something else and we want an upsizing, that we have the money there. And this is the most important one, this water reclamation facility redundancy mechanical bar screen. I heard you talk about $2.2 million. We don't have a redundancy at our plant. So basically, if there is a failure with the arm or something else, then you have to manually do that stuff. So the redundancy was supposed to be placed into that east plant. So we're going to fix that problem. Now we have the design in place. You should be going out shortly. And then with that facility, the treatment plant expansion conceptual design, as we spoke about, we have to start the feasibility of exploring. If we had 5 million gallons per day, right, and we are going to reach say capacity in whatever time, 2025, 20 days, right, what do we need to do to set the framework for it? So I want to set the timeline, the plan, and to begin that process now. So that is what that funding is for at the time. And that concludes, sorry for this long presentation, but I tried to be as detailed as possible. I tried to explain how my department works, the complexity and the challenge that we face. I want to thank my staff for the patience. I want to thank you for your patience in listening to this boring explanation. But I had wanted to do this to explain everything with my department so you understand fully what the intricacy, the challenge is, and the funding constraint that we all face. Thank you very much.
Any last questions for Dio?
No, I just want to say thank you to you and your staff for being here, answering questions, and putting this together. I know it wasn't easy, and it was time-consuming for sure. So I just thank you all for being here and preparing this.
And that just was a great job. But can we come up with some kind of a plan? I mean, I know the workforce is stretched, but I mean, with 25 positions, and then we asking for additional positions, is there any kind of plan that we could come up with in order to recruit individuals to come and maybe not all the experienced people, but maybe someone that maybe is at 2 or 3 years of experience, and that could be a pay raise for them by coming to the city?
Right, that's a very good question. I did raise the pay request, but there's a lot of factors. We did interview a set of people, but when the background check came in, we no longer. So we did have some candidates, but when the background check, we had to reject the candidates. So we're trying harder, we're getting some, but sometimes the background, sometimes the salary. Most time, if we have a salary like is very close, we will talk to the administrator, the mayor, and get it worked out. But when there are far discrepancy, we have to really think about our workforce as well. But we're trying our best. You want to give
Yeah, I just wanted to say, Commissioner Smith, on that note, you did hear him say the challenge that we have with the licensed operators, trying to get those in, and he is correct. They're coming in, the private side is scooping them up, and they're paying more than what government municipalities will pay. I mean, they can make more on the private side. The one thing that we have done is we started a trainee program. I think it's been about a year, 2 years ago, and it's been successful for us. The thing is, it takes time. That means to recruit some people that go through our training program. It takes a year for them to go through the program. I mean, but we set benchmarks for them to meet, and as they do, and then after a year of them being on the job, they pass their state exam. In a year with us, we can sign off on their time, and they become a licensed operator. And we have done that. I think we've had three be successful doing that.
Oh, okay.
So I just wanted to, I know you was asking that earlier, and I just wanted to mention that we have it in here.
And my last concern is I heard in the news about cybersecurity is attacking water treatment facilities, and I want to make sure that we're doing whatever we need to do to make sure ours is safe.
That's a good question, Rob.
Yes.
Okay.
Rob said yes, so I will go with that.
So their SCADA network is separate from the enterprise network we have in here. There's not a direct path to the internet for their network itself. So they can connect internally, but there's a lot of security profiles and precautions we have in for them to actually touch that separate network. But on its own, the SCADA will not go out on its own.
Okay.
Commissioner Velasquez?
Just want to say thank you because this was the longest presentation. There was a lot of education, but there is a lot of questions also because I feel like you're just kind of trying to stay afloat. And again, my concern is we're growing, and I want to be able to not just meet the needs, but to continue to provide an efficient service to our taxpayers, but without not off the backs of an understaffed department. Because I mean, you expressed some concerns with the streets that we don't have the funds. It seemed like two or three major funds. We just don't have the funds there. We're taking it from the reserves, but it's not sustainable. I mean, we'll just get by to the next year, but we need to figure out how we can build some funds into them. So is that something we're working on?
That's what we're talking about at the next meeting tomorrow. And I don't know if you want to add anything, Jacob, but that's what we'll be talking about when we talk about the millage.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I've gone, being kind of an outsider still, I've been able to go in and take a look at the last 5 years, look at some trends, and I have some basic information of what's happened and why we're at where we're at. So yeah, we'll discuss that tomorrow.
Tomorrow is what? Tomorrow is the police and fire.
Police and fire, and then the 7 o'clock special meeting will have a proposal for setting the millage.
Yeah, I did send you an email
Yes, ma'am.
regarding that. Did anybody get back with that last question?
We do have more time because we are having an early meeting. These workshops are usually the end of July,
Right.
and you have to have those your DR form submitted to the state by within 35 days from when they certify them. So, and that is normally July 31st. This year it is August 2nd. So if we don't set the millage tomorrow, we can come back, maybe have another special meeting on the 17th. Because I think we moved the workshops because I know Commissioner Smith is going to be out of town that last week. So,
Right, because and so just for the public's sake was that I had gotten a request regarding setting the millage rate, and there was a concern that there was not enough time for the public to at least have some time to kind of review the budget, as well as some of us wanted more time to review the budget. And can we move the setting the millage rate to a later date. So you're telling me that we can.
Yes, but we still have to work within that 35-day time frame. And keep in mind, we do have hearings or, and we have to go through the advertisement and have 2 hearings about the increase as well.
So would you be able to give me a date that, like, the drop dead date?
I said if we have a special meeting on the 17th,
Right.
we will be within that time frame. The drop
Okay.
dead date is I have to submit those forms by August 2nd. Normally it's July 31st, but it's
Right.
August 2nd for this year. And we're not having a meeting that last week because one of the commissioners will be out of town, which is why we moved the workshops up this year.
Did that, I'm sorry, Commissioner Smith, did that include the 17th, July 17th?
I'm coming back for the 17th.
Okay. So would that be okay? To
Yes,
have
it
a
would.
special
If we
meeting?
do a special meeting on the 17th, after
Just-
I think we have a regularly scheduled council meeting, so we'd have to do it early. Probably around, if the council meeting starts at 7, probably about 6 o'clock.
Would that be okay for the rest of the council? Commissioner Nestor?
Yeah, I guess the question is, are we just not having the meeting tomorrow then?
Oh, we're still having a meeting tomorrow, but it's necessary. That's
Well,
what
let me ask you this then too: Are we going to be presented plans and options of how to best move forward, or is it going to be on us to figure that out? Are you expecting that from us tomorrow?
Well, we're going to share with you the impact based on the budget that we have. And if you want to consider additional items that have been brought up during the workshops, we can share with you the impact of that. Does that?
Funding specifically, though, is I guess my
Yes.
question.
Yes.
Are there any additional plans for how we can fund this budget without dipping to reserves?
It will take additional cuts. If you don't want to add new revenue, if you don't want to increase the millage, you don't want to have these rate increases that are being proposed, it would take additional cuts.
Well, even if we do increase the millage, we're still at a deficit.
If you increase the millage, it depends on why you increase the millage. That's going to be discussed tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay? Because general fund, we do set aside capital reserves like we did last year. We have about $4 million for this year. That is being utilized as a part of that $8 million. It's the part that is above that $8 million that is coming out of the operating reserves. Even though it's excess, it's still over the 25%, but it's recurring, and that's not anything you want to do for recurring expenses. So that's part of the discussion. Union negotiations is part of the discussions, and anything else that's brought up.
I think I had also sent the email to you asking, at our current millage rate, what's the revenue that we're working with for 24-25?
I have information in your book for tomorrow that gives you that.
Oh,
but
so you'll have that?
Yes,
No.
that's in there. That's in that presentation.
Okay.
Yes, it's in the
It's in
presentation.
the
Yes.
book for tomorrow. Okay,
Yes,
I'll
ma'am.
have to look at that.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I mean, we have 10% increases reflected for water and wastewater. Just want to share that. I think I had to do this last year around this time, but usually the third meeting. We have the increase for stormwater. We have 10% for sanitation, And so we have increases there. And as I mentioned earlier, in regards to the operating fund, it would take that 40% increase just to cover what's in that budget now. And those funds are when I say deficit, is different than when I'm saying using reserves. If you operate in a deficit, there's no reserves. Okay? So
And we also looked at fees. Do you know how many
Yes, sir.
dollars in fees because we went
Yeah.
across all
I think
lines.
when we looked at all the revenue, we looked at fees, and we wanted to make sure we maximize that. I think we got an additional $2 million, Mayor.
So we
Yeah,
raised
we-
$2 million
Mhm.
extra. Like I know Susan had some fees that she raised. I know community development raised some fees. I'm trying to think who else. Who else even has fees? I mean, those are the two main departments.
Yeah.
I think
Parks and Rec.
Parks and Rec. Yes.
Parks
So-
and Rec.
So obviously you raise the fees Is there somewhere where we can see what those fees were?
That's in your book as well.
And that's in the book.
Yes, ma'am. I
It's in
provided
the
it all
book.
to
It's
you.
in the book.
Yes. Well,
Yeah, you know what it is?
look in the
Just,
last
just
tab.
going through these books
Mhm.
one day at a time took
Mhm.
hours just going through them, and I just kind of breezed over the other one. But the emails I sent today were based on when I got home and reviewed the first book. I had some questions and send them to you, and so this will give me time to look through this book and
Yeah,
kind
we
of
posted
gather.
everything on July 3rd. Unfortunately, you didn't see it or it didn't refresh, but we did post. But you do have information that was provided then, and you have other information that I put in your books.
Okay.
Similar to what you got last year.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Commissioner Anderson, anything final thoughts?
Thank you all for the presentation.
All right. Well, with that, thank you, team. Call it a night.
It is.